item known as a casket. If you ever see one, it's a pretty good idea to collect them. These are essentially collectible that you can find throughout the world, and you can turn them in for important item later in the game. Following the main story quest, the game is going to have you head into the city and access what's known as a Nexus Beacon. And this is how you open up your map. When you interact with a Nexus Beacon in a certain area, it will completely open up the map and reveal the area. So this is how you would open up your map. When you come
ก็คือมีเวพอยต์เหมือนกันชินNexus เวพอยต์
back out from the city, the game will temporarily pause you and show you how you can upgrade your characters as well as your weapon. But you basically just put these EXP material into your characters to level them up. These can easily be acquired by playing the game because you can find them in like chests and stuff. Highly recommend to just stick with the main character Rover for now and level up your main character's Rover. You can acquire material needed to level up your characters or your weapon throughout your overall gameplay by completing challenge, completing puzzles, or just finding them in chests. So for now, just continue on with the main story until you meet Baiji, which unlock the convene system. The convene system, aka the gacha system, is how you're going to be acquiring new character in this game. Basically, you put your gacha currency in and it come out as a random character every single time. The game is going to guarantee you a Baiji on your very first pull during the tutorial for the convene system, but any other character that come after is completely random. If you ever don't know what character to pull for, using the Novice Convene banner is going to be always a safe bet because it guarantees you a random 5-star characters. I do have a lot of other videos talking about which 5-star is the best and which 5-star you should collect, and so again, you can check all of those out again after you subscribe. Keep on continuing with the main story quest, you're going to see a powerful red glowing enemy at some point. Just skip over this enemy for now, you can come back for it later because it does drop you something very, very powerful. Regardless continue with your main story quest until you have finished the first arc of the story quest. And at this point, you should be Union level 6, which unlocks some really major key features. You're going to be unlocking the guidebook, which is basically a tutorial book that gives you a bunch of reward. The quests on this are pretty straightforward. They do give pretty good reward and they're pretty easy to do. They're just like level up your characters, level up your weapon. So just do them whenever you have time. But with that being said, as always, my main advice here is just to do the main story quest until you're done with the story. The story is not too long and you know you're done when you fight the second major boss in this game, Dreamless. And the reason why you want to do the main story quest is because it just gives you a bunch of unit level EXP as well as unlock areas in the game. So that's really important to do. And once you're done with the main story quest, you're free to basically just do whatever. You can explore the rest of the game. There's another quest you should be doing, which is going to be your daily quest, also available in your guidebook once you have unlocked it at, I think, unit level 8. The daily in this game is really convenient to do. You just have to get 100 points to get a bunch of resources as well as EXP, but they're really quick. They're something like just one echo, just do challenge one time, or kill 15 enemy that you can easily do by spending your daily stamina anyway. Under the same guidebook menu at the top right, you're gonna notice this icon. This is your daily energy. This is how much energy you have to claim resources every day, and you want to be using all of them every single day. If you don't know what resource to go for, in the beginning, I'll highly recommend you just go for skill material, which is under the forgery challenge. Leveling up your character skill is one of the primary way of getting yourself to do more damage, and you can check what material you need to level up your characters simply by clicking over it. And again, as mentioned before, while Echo also make you stronger, I wouldn't really worry about those until endgame because it is rather complicated, so I'll skip over the entire ecosystem for now. I do have a separate video on the entire ecosystem, just again as a quick reminder if you really want to know about it, so you can check that one out and subscribe to the channel, of course. Another great way to both acquire Union level EXP as well as additional material is to do all your other side quests, especially your exploration quests, because those give you a lot of EXP and they unlock key area of the map. So I'll prioritize the video on the entire ecosystem, just again as a quick reminder if you really want to know about it, so you can check that one out and subscribe to the channel, of course. Another great way to both acquire Union level EXP as well as additional material is to do all your other side quests, especially your exploration quests, because those give you a lot of EXP and they unlock key area of the map, so I'll prioritize doing those if possible. If you head
exploration quest
over to the store menu
อันนี้แบบผมมานั่งศึกษาวิธีการสปีดรันเกมมากกว่าเพราะว่าเวลาผมเล่นผมก็สปีดรัน
Based
Start
on
level
your
ผมก็
Union
speed
level
run
bundle, you'll be able to get free supply pack every 10 level, and they give you a bunch of good items such as lustrous tie or additional EXP material, so it's a good idea to claim it. In addition to the store, a battle pass will be available in the game for you to purchase. Now there's a free public channel that you can get reward even if you're free to play, but if you spend money, you'll be able to get the bottom right here, so just another additional material. For the most part, this should cover enough basic knowledge for you to get started into the world of Wuthering Waves, and hopefully you enjoy the game. Take your time, don't rush to endgame. Just for reference, endgame doesn't really unlock until like a month later, just because we're pretty unit level gated, and it's gonna take a long time to get there. So I think there's no need to rush. I'll definitely be making a lot of video on different endgame. In fact, I already have a video up about the different type of endgame available in this game if you want to check that one out. But with that being said, I'm going to stop this beginner guide right here, make it a little more concise. And with that being said, subscribe for more video. There will be a new video tomorrow on how to level properly, and bye.
โอเคตัดคลิปได้แย่มากลบลือจริงอยู่นะแต่จีอ่านไม่ได้ทำไมอะถ้าจีอ่านมันโคเปียมเดี๋ยวผมก็บอกเองว่ามันโคเปียมคุณหยุดผมไม่ได้หรอกเมื่อกี้ผมดูอันไหนไปวะ
The casket is something extremely important to collect in this game, and you'll be able to tell if there's one near you by looking at this symbol on the map. If there's an arrow above it, then it is above you. Otherwise, if there's an arrow below, then it is under you. It is extremely important that you keep track of which one you have gotten by marking the map. You can turn these caskets into the relic merchant at the town to get some extremely important reward such as Raver, Rove Band. And so if you ever miss
ผมเกลียดบรรทัดนี้ที่สุดละทำไมเราถึงอยากเล่นเกนชินอีกรอบ
missing any in the future, just cross-reference with a map online and you will be able to tell which one you're missing. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you many other tips to help you out starting in Wuthering Waves, just in case this is your very first gacha game.
ช่องไหน
So
ไว้
let's
ใจ
get
ได้
into
บ้าง
the next
ช่อง
tip
นี้
right away. Throughout the game,
10
when you're opening chests or when you're
ถ้า
solving
ผมไม่ทำ
puzzles, you obtain a
Wuthering Waves
currency
ก็ตาม
called
10 ไปเลย
Asterite. This is the premium currency, and you should always be saving these. Asterite is an extremely sacred currency, and the general recommendation is always be saving these for the limited characters banner that you want. Do not ever make the mistake of buying the standard banner currency with your Asterite. A lot of people make this mistake and ruin their account. This is really important. Speaking of the shop, if you head to bundle and then level gift pack, there are actually a bunch of free pack that give you a bunch of resources. And the only condition to get these is that you have to be a certain level. So this one is for level 40. And this one is for level 50. So make sure to come back to the shop and buy these as soon as you hit the requirement, because these are just free resources. Don't forget to do your guidebook, obviously. You can find that right here, and that include your daily quest that you should be trying to do every day. You don't have to do every single quest. Your only goal here is to hit 100 point, which you can just get by doing various missions, like collecting anything or upgrading any weapon. Once you hit 100 point, you can just come back and claim the reward, and this is going to be your main source of Asterite as well as Union EXP. Both those are really good, so be sure to do it every day. Moving to the second tab of the guidebook, you got your drifting inscription. Now these quests are also really good to do early on, because for the most part they're kind of tutorial quests, like just equip any characters with free echoes, and they give really good reward. Again, more Union EXP or even other additional items. There are a total of 6
ทำไป
chapters.
โซ่ให้มัน
with
น่า
the
รัก
last
หน่อย
one
ได้ไหม ก็
rewarding
มัน
you
เป็น
with
ม
a
อนน่ะ
free rover
ถ้าเขาจะ
wave
ท
band.
ำถ้าเขาต้อง
So
ท
this is
ำ
why
จีบี
you
แบบ
should
มอน
really
มัน
be
ก็
making sure that you
ต้อง
do your
ใช้รีซอ
guidebook.
สเยอะป่ะ
A lot of these EXP is going to be massive in terms of getting you leveling up early for your union level, and unlocking union level is really important because it unlocks better reward. If you want to do max damage in this game, obviously you want to level all of your party member to max level, but I highly recommend you to just focus on leveling one of them first. Just pick one DPS that you like and focus on getting that characters to really strong.
ก็เหมือนเกนชิน เริ่มมาเรามีสิทธิ์ invest แค่ตัวเดียวก็คือจะเป็นตัว DPS ที่แบกเราจนกว่าเราจะมีปัญญาไปฟาร์มอย่างอื่นมาให้ตัวอื่น เล่นโรเวอร์ได้ไหม ได้แหละ
If you don't know who to pick, the main character's rover is actually really strong. He is
Okay.
really efficient in terms of resources, and I'll highly recommend you just pick him. You will really want to focus all your resource in the early game onto one character just so he can carry you, and it could be any character that you like. If you like Tauchi, then go for it. The only exception to this could be
level ตัว
either
ฮิวให้ตัน
Baidi or Verena, because these two are more like support character than DPS, and you really want to just level a DPS at the beginning of the game so that he can do damage. With your character level, just push that as high as possible, collecting the required material whenever you do need them, unless you can't upgrade. So here you can see I have reached my max level for now and I can't upgrade anymore, and that's okay, you can just upgrade it later. For your weapon, I'll highly recommend you to just find a attack scaling weapon in the very beginning of the early game. Very likely is that when you first start playing the game, you're only gonna have blue weapon, and just look for one that have 2 attack line, right? So this one has attack here and attack here, and just click on this, level this up, and use this one now. This will carry your early game until you eventually get later better weapon like purple rank or yellow rank. Now something you'll notice is that each weapon has a secondary effect here. For example, for this weapon, every time you trigger a Concito effect, it will increase your attack by 5% for 5 seconds. You can actually rank this up by using the same weapon as material. So you hit upgrade, you hit the second tab here, and you can see that I'm able to upgrade this from rank 1 to rank 2 by using the exact same weapon here. Now I actually recommend you don't do this, especially for weapons that are either the purple rank or especially the legendary rank.
ทำไมสไปซ์มันเหมือนกันไปหมดเลยว่าทำไมมันโดนลอกกันไปหมดเลย
It is better to have 2 copy of the same weapon than 1 copy of the rank 2 weapon, and they go up to rank 5, so you need 5 copy to max it out anyway. So don't do this unless you know what you're doing. The next thing you want to focus on is leveling up your character skills. Now to level up your character skill, you just have to collect the corresponding material, and if you don't know where to find them, just click on it and it'll tell you where you can obtain it. So for example, this one, you can find it at this dungeon right here, right? It'll point you exactly to it. So that's all you need to do. Now these cost energy to get. So for example here, you can see that I will need 40 of these wave plate energy to collect these material, and these are the thing I'll highly recommend you to spend your early game wave play on, just because you can get everything else like the leveling up material from playing the game naturally and opening chests, but these dungeon material you can only get if you spend energy. So I'll focus all your early game energy on weapon and skill material, and just focus on the one you need.
ต
So
อนดู
again,
ไกด์ถ้า
don't
ไม่
do
เขียน
the
ชื่อดาบ
character
แยก
you're
มาคือ
playing.
แยกไม่ออกเลย
Click on the skill
ส
to
ม
see
ควร
what
อยู่
they need.
ผมก็
because
แยกไม่ออก
every
ระหว่าง
single
5 ดาวกับ
character
3 ดาว
uses
เลย
different material. For example, Anchor use this one
สวัสดีค
instead.
รับคุณ
And
คุณ
once
เบ
you have figured out what material you need, just simply click on where to obtain it and farm for it.
ไม่
Coming
แปล
back
ก
to
ใจ
the same tab, you'll also notice something called the resonant chain.
พวก
And you
บู
can
บ้า
unlock additional effect for your characters by unlocking their sequence node, which is done by collecting the character's waveband. Now you don't have to worry about this when you're first starting out the game, but if you ever have any, then just go ahead and activate them. They're only used for unlocking sequence, and so if you have them, just
อัน
use
นี้
them.
คืออันนี้คือไอดอล
The
ลอน
last thing to talk about when it comes down to
มี
making
ห
your
ก
character
มี6 จุด
stronger
เหมือนกัน
is of course
มั่น
obtaining
ใจได้ว่าไม่ได้ล
echo
อก
for
มา
now. Whenever you come across a monster in Wuthering Waves, you should really kill it for the chances dropping a echo. Throughout this game, you're gonna want to collect a copy of every single echo, because this is how you level your data bank, and it will allow you to gain access to legendary gear at the end of the game when you eventually hit.
no ผมเกลียดการหาสะสมโปเกมอน no 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 no
Hit level 15 data bank. Echo are basically a summon that you can equip on your characters, but in addition to that, they also act as gear because they give stats. So it's really important to get as many Echo as possible to find a good one. And so my general recommendation is just kill every single thing you see. Commit genocide straight. Now, in order to level these up and get more stats from them, you have to spend what's known as a EXP
228
CO2 material. And I wouldn't really waste these resources on either the green level or the blue level echoes, just because you can outgrow them really fast. But starting from the purple one, that's when I will level them, just because it will take a long time.
โอเค
Before you can reach the gold color legendary one. So if you see a good purple one, things that have like attack on it on the first line, or a matching damage type on your first line. So if you're playing a electro character, try to look for a electro damage bonus on the first line. You can use attack as well. Then it will be good enough to level for now. And again, make sure that the echo you're leveling up is going to be used by the main DPS of your choice. So if your main DPS of the choice is Rover, then level up the echoes that Rover can use, but don't level up like, you know, the other element echo if you aren't going to put it on them. So my Rover doesn't do fusion damage, therefore don't level up the fusion damage bonus echo. If you're ever missing higher rarity material, mostly from dungeon, you can actually combine the lower rarity one to get them. So for
มีแชร์
example
ด็อก
here,
ไหม
I
ครับ
can
คุณ
combine
จะอยากอ่านไป
3
ทำไม
of
ใน
the
เมื่อพวกคุณ
purple
เล่นกัน
rank
ไปเรียบร้อยแล้ว
core into one
ผม
single
ทำไว้ให้ตัวเองอ่าน
legendary yellow rank core. And this
ผม
will be
เขียน
really
ให้เป็นภาษา
useful
อัง
if
กฤษ
you
พวกคุณจะอ่าน
somehow
กัน
have
จริงเลย
a lot of the lower level one, but you don't have any of the high level one, and you start out leveling to the point where you need the high level one. So keep in mind. Now, if you didn't know, every single characters in Wuthering Wave actually into one single legendary yellow rank core, and this will be really useful if you somehow have a lot of the lower level one, but you don't have any of the high level one, and you start out leveling to the point where you need the high level one. So keep in mind. Now, if you didn't know, every single characters in Wuthering Wave actually come with a tutorial stage, which you can enter by clicking on this icon at the bottom right. These tutorials are extremely helpful for first-time player because they completely showcase how the character is supposed to be played. The other thing that you should be collecting every single time you see it are going to be these orbs. These orbs are scattered throughout the entire map, and you're going to see a lot of them. And you will need a lot of these ore to craft 4-star weapon.
ผมไม่อยากกลับไปขุดแร่อีกแล้ว
So you should be collecting them anytime you see one of these.
ผมไม่อยากขุดแร่
There's a region completion percentage on each region on the map. You can see, for example, for this city, I have 9% completion. And it's entirely based on your completion of finding every single chest, doing every single puzzle, and stuff like that. But most importantly is that once you have done enough exploration, you can actually come back to the guild and get a secret reward. Exploring each region to a certain percent is going to give you EXP to level up your exploration level. And this is really important because it gives you really good reward like the loot mapper that will help you find any chest that you're missing later on. You can actually find this just right outside the main city located right here, and a lot of people don't know about this hidden reward, so make sure you tell them. You're gonna be coming across a lot of quests throughout this game, and you should be doing all of them because they give unit level EXP as well as asteroid, which are really important. But the one you should be prioritizing first are called exploration quests because these unlock the map. So even though I can just walk into this region called the Deep Forest, which is located at the bottom left of the map, you actually see I'm getting poisoned and I'm getting a debuff. And eventually this is either going to kick me out of the map or I'm going to die.
มันเหมือนเล่นเกมชินใหม่อีกรอบซึ่งผมเกลียดการสำรวจแมปมาก
the area. And you do that by doing the corresponding quests. So for example, this one, when the forest is no longer dim. These quests will guide you through getting through the area and will cleanse the area, and then you can actually explore the area for real. So prioritize doing all of these exploration quests because they will be very important to actually get to the area. So when it comes down to exploring, you notice that there's a stamina bar. Now when you're running around outside of combat, it doesn't cost you any stamina, so you can run around as you like.
Wow.
But the thing here is that if you're ever climbing vertically, you'll drain your stamina really fast.
Quality
now,
of life.
Tips is that if you're ever trying to scale a really tall wall, you should be walking up to it and climbing the normal way like this instead, because this costs you a lot less stamina compared to wall running up. So here you can see it only costs me like about a bar, but if I was just wall running up, this cost me 2 bar instead.
มันดู
So if you're
แปล
ever
ก
trying
ๆ แต่
to
ก็
scale a really tall
ใน
wall,
แง่ของการใช้
then
งานจริง
making
มัน
sure
ก็โอ
to
เคกว่า
prioritize your stamina is more important, and so you should just be climbing it the normal way. Now there's actually a cheese way to save your stamina, and that involves using the grapple hook. What you do is you press X, T, forward, and then grab. So you jump off, grapple hook, forward, and then grab. And you just sit here and wait until your grapple hook come up again, and then you do this. And you can see this costs very little stamina, right? So if I just do this again,
คล้ายๆเกม
I
ชิน
can
แต่ว่าแบบ
scale
เราไม่
this
ต้อง
really tall
รอนาน
mountain
มาก
if
เพื่อ
there's a
ก
really
ด
tall mountain
ต้อง
using
กดแดก
very
ข้าว
little
บอกส
stamina.
ตามิน่า
And
เพื่อ
you
จะปีน
always
ไปให้
want to
ถึง
make sure that you're
ค
saving your
ล้ายๆกัน
stamina
แต่
because
คูล
if
ดา
you
ว
run out of
คูล
stamina
ดาว
while
แก
you're
ปเปอร์
climbing,
มันสั้นกว่า
you're just gonna fall off. There are a couple of tabs in your character menu, specifically the tutorial and the trophy. These two you should click on because they give you asteroid. So after you click on each one of these, you're gonna see that you're actually awarded with
อัน
asteroid.
นี้ก็
So
เหมือน
that's
เกม
really
ชิน
important. Just click on the tutorial. But most importantly for the trophy, whenever you do reach a milestones, make sure to come into the trophy and claim your additional asteroid. And again, these are premium currency that you should be focusing on getting. There are 2 weekly boss in this game that you should be doing. You can only choose one of them to do, and you can only claim the reward once per week. In general, this reset on Sunday, but the most important thing is that the difference between these 2 weekly boss is that they give different material. The Scar weekly boss give the unending destruction, while the other boss give the bell. And
ไม่ได้เล่น
both
เหมือน
these
กัน
are
ใน
used
เกม
for
บ้างถ้าไม่อยากเล่น
character
เกมชิน
skill
ใหม่อีก
upgrade.
รอบอย่า
Make sure you check what material you need for your desired characters. So if your goal is to level up Rover, then you should be doing the Scar weekly
ถ้าไม่อยาก
bosses because that's the
ทำผมแนะ
material
นำ
you
ให้ซื้อ
need.
ไอดี
If you have played other gacha game like Genshin Impact before, some of these tips might be really familiar, but this video is mostly aimed for beginner players who have never really played the game before. And there are potential that I am missing a lot of things just because I've been playing this game for way too long, and so there are things that I think are obvious when it's not. So feel free to drop your question in the comment below. In fact, it will really help me to understand like what do you guys really want to ask, and I'm gonna try to make content on them as fast as possible. So leave your question in the comment below, and thanks for watching. Bye.
Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Echo. Echo.
Managing your resources properly is probably the most important thing in a gacha game like Wuthering Waves, especially at the launch of the game, because that's when you have the least amount of resources to spare. You get 240 energy a day only, and it's very important that you manage them wisely. So I'll be giving you what is the most important priority to level today. And that being said, right after you subscribe to the channel, we get started. In Wuthering Waves, you get 240 worth of energy a day called Wave Play, and there's 4 major categories that you're going to be spending them on: EXP material, Ascension material, Echo material, or finally boss material. Each of these give you a different material for different purposes. Forgery Challenge allow you to level up your skills, ascend your weapon past a certain breakpoint, or ascend your character past a certain breakpoint. Simulation Field provide you material that level up your weapon or level up your character in a large quantity. Boss Challenge also give you material that level up your characters or weapon, but a lot less. But the more important one is that it gives you special material that allow you to ascend your characters. And finally, Tactical Field allow you to obtain new Echo, level up your Echoes by providing Echo EXP material, or it gives you Tuner, which allow you to unlock Echo substats. For your early game, highly recommend to target Forgery Challenge as well as Boss Challenge, because these material are hard to acquire. Simulation Field give you a lot of EXP material, but you can find these easily by playing the open world, finding them in chests, so it's not worth spending your energy on. And finally, Tactical Field is extremely inefficient to farm early.
ส่วนใหญ่ก็คือก็เหมือนเกนชินอีกแล้วยังต้องดูไกด์อีกไหมทุกอย่าง
and it's
ประ
only
มาณ
recommended to
90% เหมือ
farm
นเกน
once you
ชิน
have unlocked the high level version of them, which is at the end game. When you click on your character skill or when you're leveling up characters, it will tell you exactly what material you're gonna need to break them past a certain point, and so just look for that specific material. When you start leveling character past level 40, they're gonna require you boss material.
คุณ
It
เบ
is
ลมา
pretty
แล้ว
little, so just make sure
มา
you
พร้อม
count
กั
the
บ
exact amount you
10
need,
ซับ
or you can just go farm for them when you do need them. Another
Wow.
material that you might
เห็น
find
แต่คน
yourself
ชื่อ
needing is going to be
เห็น
the
แต่คนชื่อ
weekly
คุณ
boss material. Now,
ก็
while
นาว
this
คุณ
costs energy to claim,
คุณเชอรี่
it's called a weekly boss for a reason because you can only claim it 3
Hello,
times a
welcome.
week. So once again, just check what does your characters need and just go farm for the corresponding material.
ไหนคุณเบลบอกว่าคุณเบล
The
จะไม่เปิด
weekly
บูทคิว
boss
ไง
material is used to unlock these
ทำ
small
ไม
amount above the skills.
ทำไมเรา
For
เจอ
the
กันอีก
most
ที
part,
คุณ
in
เบล
the
มี
very
26
beginning of
S5
the
บูท
game,
คิว
you
แล้ว
only need to care about the 2 in the middle. And once again, you can check what material your character need by clicking on it. Now, while you
กำไร
only get 240 energy a day, you can actually
เมื่อ
refill
ไหร่เรา
by
จะได้เห็น
using a
เมื่อไหร่เราจะได้
wave
เห็นคอมใหม่
punishment or using
Notebook
a
ใหม่
asterite, and it's extremely not recommended that you do either of these when you first start playing out the game. These two are extremely hard to acquire. They'll be a lot more important later on, and you should only be using them for endgame. In fact, it is recommended that
ใกล้
you
แล้ว
never use asteroid to refill your
ผม
wave
จะ
plate because
ผม
it
จะ
is
พยายามเชื่อ
extremely
คุณเบล
important to use it for other things unless you really want
ถ้า
to, which
สั้น
is
เปิด
for
หลอ
the
ดของ
most
แม่
part when
2,000
you're
เลย
swiping.
โอ้โห
I highly recommend you to just level your main character's rover
ถ้า
from
หลอ
the
ดถ้าหลอด
beginning
บุกว่า
of the
เต็ม
game.
แล้วหลอด
And there's a lot of reason why this is
ถ้า
the
แซ่บ
case.
เต็มอย่างนี้ผม
He
ว่า
or
ผม
she
ตาย
is
แน่
really strong and is playable from the start. The main character rover actually have two different forms, the Spectre form and the Havoc form, but their level as well as the weapon is actually shared. So you only have to level him once, and then you can play both form at the highest level. But do know that their skills is
ผมไม่ค่อย
actually
ชอบ
not shared,
ก
so
รา
you have
ฟิ
to
กของ
re-level the skill when you switch
แซ่บ
form.
อะ
You unlock the Havoc form after you completed the story with the Dreamless battle. But more importantly is that the
เข้าใกล้
Spectrum
แน่นอน
Rover
ว่ะ
is
วัน
one of
นี้ครับ
the
คุณอาร์ต
7 characters that is available for Elusive Realm. So Elusive Realm is one of the endgame game mode that only available to certain characters and it will give you a lot of material. So just by leveling Rover, you get a really strong character to play there as well, and that give you more material later on. Rover is just really efficient to level while being really strong at the beginning, also because of the free sequence upgrade that you get for the main character's Rover. So again, highly recommend to just level Rover from the very beginning of the game. The other characters that are available for you from the beginning of the game are Baiji, Chixia, Yang Yang from the beginning of the game, Soihe after the lock-in bonus, and probably Yanwu after you beat the tower. What you can do from the beginning of the game is to do Rover plus Yang Yang plus Baiji as a team together, but I wouldn't recommend you to level Yang Yang and Baiji just because I think they don't scale that well. In fact, if you need a second DPS, then I will recommend you to level Soihe because she also uses the sword and she's relatively strong. But let's talk about a more important topic, and that is, do you need to level more
ชื่อ
than
จีนหมด
one
เลยเหรอ
characters? A lot of people will tell you that the
ตาเหลื
end
อก
game
เวลาเรียก
requires
เวลา
free
เรีย
teams,
ก
so
ชื่อ
you
ตัวละ
need
คร
9 characters, free characters for each team. However, I think that's completely false, and you shouldn't be doing that from the very beginning. In fact, from the very beginning, I only recommend you to level your 1 main characters, and at most 1.5 main characters. Running a team of 3 in this game is extremely inefficient in terms of resource until you hit endgame. For the most part, I would only recommend you running a team of 2 at the beginning of the game,
ผมต้องพู
consisting
ด
of 1
คำนี้อีกรอบ
damage dealer
ก็เหมือน
and
เกนชิน
hopefully 1 support. In fact, my recommendation is actually to super invest into 1 main DPS and then invest into a secondary damage dealer, and that's all you need for now. For the majority of the game, you only need your 1 damage dealer. That includes beating the harder content of the game hologram. Only time you need more than 1 damage dealer is for the tower, and it's extremely unrealistic to expect yourself to be able to beat all 3 tower at the beginning of the game because the last tower have level 100 enemy and you will not get there until way later. You want to first make sure you can beat the experimental zone first, which means you need 2 teams or 2 DPS. But there's actually another trick here, and that is you can use the same DPS for the hardest floor for each of these 2 towers in experimental zone. If you position your characters like this, you see that you can actually use the same characters for the harder floor on both tower, which means that it is possible to highly invest into 1 characters while investing into your secondary character a little bit less. My point here is, do not try to do something like evenly distribute a resource into 3 characters because you heard you need 3 teams. No, just pour most of the resource into 1 character and then maybe a little bit to your secondary DPS characters, and that's it. The final thing to make your character strong and invest into are going to be echoes. These are your stats, and they're going to be one of the main things that you look for in the beginning of the game. When it comes down to leveling your character's echo, I would not level anything that's green or blue color. But if you have a good purple color one that have something like crit rate and attack, then it's considerable to level them. For the early game, it's fine to just use crit stats, attack stat, or damage stat that matches your element. So for example, if you're an arrow damage dealer and you have a arrow damage % line on your free cost echo, then it's fine to use them. For your support characters, just give them whatever it needs to get the 5-piece Moonlight Cloud effect. You don't have to care about what echo stat they have, you don't have to care about to actually level them. Just put 5 pieces of the Moonlight Cloud on your support and you're basically ready to go, which make them extremely easy to build. This is one of the biggest reasons why it is recommended to only play 2 characters at the beginning in your team, because it makes it a lot easier to proc intro and outro consistently, which keep on giving you that buff, and it's extremely resource efficient while giving you a bunch of damage. This is the fastest, easiest, cheapest way to get damage, and you just put all your resources into your main DPS. Investing only in one character lets you beat pretty much 80 to 90% of the game, including majority of the hologram. And this completely complete your mid game until you hit end game where you actually need to start building other characters. To be really honest, only when you hit unit level 50, that's when you really enter the end game, and that's when you really need to level all the other characters, like the third characters for your party, as well as your third main DPS or just your third party in
ต
general.
อนนี้ตลาด
But
ซื้อ
at
ขาย
that
เป็น
point,
ไง
you're
บ้าง
gonna be
อะ
having a
ผม
lot
อาจ
of
จะซื้อไอ
resources,
ดี
so it's
สักไอ
less
ดี
important
ถ้า
to pick and
ถ้า
choose,
ได้เล่น
but rather just do
แต่หลอดอาจ
whatever
จะไม่
you
เต็มหรอก
need
มั้งผ
the
มว่า
most. But for the most
ให้ผม
part,
เดา
early
หลอด
game
ไม่
is
เต็ม
where
เพ
the
ราะว่า
resources really matter. And again,
ใน
highly
ทุนใน
recommend to
Discord ไม่
farm
ได้อยากให้ผม
for
เล่น
skill
พูด
material
สตรีมเว็บ
only
ขนาด
or
นั้น
boss material when you need it. Highly recommend to level the main characters rover. If you don't know exactly who to level, I do have a tier list going over the general characters, but let me just run over each of the characters very quickly from the top to bottom. Starting off with Danji. If you have Danji, I will invest into Danji as your second DPS right away. She's the most broken DPS in the game, but be careful because she's very hard to play, so might not be suitable for casual. Yin is not going to be available
จำได้
from the
ว่า
beginning
คุณ
of
อาน่าบอกว่ารอเงินเดือนออกจะมาเติมหลอด
the game. Reina is really good to put in the party, but you don't have to invest into her.
มีคนทวง
Just
หล
bring
อด
her
ด้
to
วย
like level 50, unlock her first passive, give her the Moonlight support set, done. Don't need to put too many resources into her. Rover, talked about many times, highly recommend to level the main characters, really strong, cheap, easy to build. Yanwu, he is
Good
kind
fame,
of a
that's all a
support
lot.
character, so once again, I wouldn't pour resource into him from the very beginning, and I'll just skip over it. Alto is okay if you're playing him as a main DPS. If you're playing him as a sub DPS, then wouldn't really recommend pouring resources into him. In fact, in general, I only recommend you to put resources into your
ทำไม
main DPS, which means the characters you're
ทำไม
gonna be attacking
ทำไม
from
จี
both
อ่าน
sides.
มันอยู่ที่ B
The
วะ
same
แชท
thing with Mortify, even though this character is really good,
ทำไม
he's
จีอ่าน
more
มัน
of
อยู่ที่ B
a sub DPS or secondary characters. So I wouldn't invest
Chat
into him from
explain
the very beginning. Prioritize
เดี๋ยวเรา
investing into your
อธิบาย
main
ก็ได้
DPS first. Then later, when you hit endgame, when you have spare resource, you can invest into other characters that are sub DPS or support. Kosharo, main DPS, can invest in him when you get him, it's fine. Encore, it's a little weird. If you are going to choose Encore as your main DPS, then I guess you could invest into Encore for the exact same reason as all the other characters.
เบ
Same
ต้า
goes
เหร
for
อ
Jinyan, same
มัน
goes
เขา
for
บัฟเหรอ
Sonha. If you don't have any other characters of your choosing
Oh,
as
dead.
your DPS, then I think Sonha is a very, very good DPS to invest in choosing her too. But otherwise, that's how I would choose.
อ่า
เป็บดาบผิดสัญญามันไม่ดีนะจ๊ะ
โอเค วิดีโอนี้น่าสนใจ
Why you shouldn't be. There's this Chinese tier list that everybody has been passing around recently, and I'm gonna be telling you why you shouldn't be trusting this tier list. In fact, you shouldn't be trusting tier lists in general, and I'm gonna explain why in a little bit. I think tier lists are fun, they have its place. Characters like Verena are definitely like tier above any other characters, but tier lists are often not the most accurate thing. So you shouldn't just be like, oh, Encore is way better than whoever this character is, just because she's a higher tier. And I'm gonna be explaining why in a bit. But the most important thing that you have to understand why this tier list is not trustworthy is because you guys are passing it around without context. And I mean, I understand why. None of you can read Chinese, but I can read Chinese. For people who don't know, I'm natively Chinese and I speak Chinese fluently. In fact, I actually speak Chinese to crew games because you guys know their English sucks. So they're like, you know what? Let's stop speaking English. Crew games are stop. Or like, I'll just speak Chinese instead. So I actually often find a lot of my information off the Chinese theory crafting website because a lot of people post like very detailed discussion about like how energy recharge work, or some people were talking about recently a Echo Pity where if you kill like 3 elite Echo, your next one is guaranteed to be dropped. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I made a video on it. So you see like I often like kind of pour over information from the Chinese theory crafting community. And I want to be talking about this one today.
กันที่กลาย
Why you
หนัก
shouldn't
ไหม
be trusting this
ตอนเริ่ม
Again,
เกม
on tier
กลาย
list.
หนักมาก
Again,
ๆ ต้อง
most people
สำรวจ
are
แบบ100
putting
เปอ
it
ร์ต้อง
over without context.
สำรวจแบบอาจ
Obviously,
จะไม่
the
ต้องก็ได้ถ้าเรา
original
ไม่
uploader
รีบ
made a complete video in Chinese.
แต่ถ้าเรารีบ เราต้องสำรวจแบบทั้งหมดเพื่อเก็บเวลโลก แล้วเราก็ต้องสะสมเอ
อยาก
โค
เล่น
ด้วย
WuWa หรือไม่ ลองเสพดราม่าในเฟซไหมครับ 55
โอ้
Explaining like his thoughts or actually her thought on like every single one of these characters. But I'm gonna explain and translate how this tier list work. And I realize I'm blocking a part of it. First of all, this tier list is based on theoretical rotation and DPS.
theoretical
These
rotation
numbers are
โอเคเผื่อแชทไม่เก็ตว่า theoretical rotation คืออะไร theoretical rotation คือการวนสกิลแบบ perfect ไม่มีเล่นพลาด ไม่มีเล่นโง่ ไม่มีเล่นเป็นลิง คือเล่นทุกอย่างเป๊ะๆเหมือนแบบโปรแกรมให้บอทเล่นแล้วกดถูกทุกปุ่มในเวลาที่ถูกต้อง อันนี้เป็นเคสเดียวกับ Genshin Impact ก็คือมีหลายทีมที่แบบเพดาน DPS มันสูงมากอย่างเช่นชายเนชั่นที่ถ้าเล่นถูกมาแรงมากเบิร์ดแรงฟอนโหลดดาเมจตอนเปิดงานแรงมากแต่ว่าผู้เล่นประมาณ 70% เล่นโรเทชันไม่ถูกมันก็ไม่แรงกดผิดจังหวะผิดกระจายธาตุผิดกระจายธาตุไม่ครบไม่แรงเหมือนกับเกนชินซิมอ่ะ
might not be feasible in battle depending on your skills, depending on the rotation.
เทนบอกเราว่าเวลาเราเล่นจริงเราอาจจะเล่นไม่ได้แบบนี้ด้วยสถานการณ์แบบว่าบอสมันไม่ให้เราเล่นหรือว่าเรามีสกิลอิชชูหรือว่าเราโดนปิงแดกหัว
Or just depending on the
ใช่
fight.
มันคือ
In fact, there's
rotation
something
on paper
verified here. They basically say this in their red tag is that they are calculating theoretical DPS, and these numbers are kind of like expected DPS. They're not necessarily like real. So just judging it off this number and say like, oh, this character is better is not the most accurate thing already. And I'll be showing you why in that case. The second thing about this list is that it's all based on sequence 0. So there are characters that get significantly better with sequence, especially the 4-star, since 4-star sequence are a lot more achievable than 5-star sequence. So, you know, Danji with a full 6 sequence might be better than say like Ling Yang, and it's
แล้วก็ตอนนี้เรายังอยู่ในช่วงเริ่มเกมเขาบอกว่าเทียริสเนี่ยมันใช้ตัว5ดาว E0 กับตัว4ดาวที่ปลดครบทุก E แล้วซึ่งตอนเริ่มเกมเราก็ไม่ใช่ว่าจะมี E6 4ดาวทุกตัวหรอกเพราะว่ามันยังไม่ถึงตอนนั้น
it's not reflected on this tier list. And again, I understand why, because none of you can read Chinese, so you guys pass around the tier list with no context, and that's why you shouldn't be completely trusting the tier list.
เทียนบอกว่าก็ข้อมึงส่งต่อเทียริสกันโดยที่มึงไม่ได้แปลอะไรที่มันอยู่ข้างในอ่ะก็เลยแบบค่อนข้างเป็นห่วงว่าจะถูกเทียริสชักจูงไปในทางที่ผิดซึ่งในคนที่ผ่านมันอย่างน้อยมันก็โยนเข้า Google Translate บ้างก็ได้นะ
But the biggest reason why you shouldn't be trusting this tier list is because in-game performance could be completely different. And I'll be showing you right now. You know, on that tier list, you might see like character like Chixia is way better than Tauchi, but in-game, depending on how you play it, depending on the boss, that could not reflect reality. In particular, against a boss like Mepis, if you're fighting against a boss like Mepis who is very mobile, you might not be able to get your entire bullet sequence off, and so your DPS expectation would be different. Especially because a character like Chixia cannot parry. And you'll be like, oh, I can just parry with a different characters. But then you often lose the buff. Character like Tauchi has a buff that disappears when you switch characters, which
Among the Sea Butterfly โทษ
means if you switch to sword characters to parry, you'll lose that buff. So that expected DPS will be different. On the other hand, a character like Danji is very good against the Mepis, at least in my opinion. That's because Danji can very, very easily maintain DPS uptime, and she also do her DPS in short window. That means it is a lot easier to expect that your Danji can dish out her full DPS potential compared to a character like Chixia. In fact, I'm about to show you one of the greatest example using my favorite character of all time, Ling Yang. If you know about the monkey boss, you know that there's a part where he jump out of the totem and he starts slamming the ground. And every single character in this game have to sit on the ground and watch him just boom, 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 boom. Well, not Ling Yang. If you're playing Ling Yang, you can just air walk up to the boss and keep hitting him. Therefore, you don't lose DPS compared to like every other character in the game. I bet you didn't see that one coming, of course, because you don't play Ling Yang, but I do. So there's a massive Ling Yang video coming tomorrow. But my point is, depending on the battle, depending on your skills, depending on
อันนี้ก็เป็นแฟกเตอร์ที่น่าสนใจก็คือแบบบางทีตัวละครนี้มันดีในไฟนี้โดยเฉพาะเหมือนแบบว่าตัวละครที่เก่งใน MOC นี้เหมือนแบบตัวละครที่เก่งใน PF ตรงนี้เรื่องบางทีศัตรูที่เขาเอามาใช้ในการคำนวณในเทียริสเนี่ยมันไม่เหมือนกับสิ่งที่เราไปเจอแค่จริงในข้างนอกสมมติว่าเรามีตัวละครหนึ่งที่แบบว่า โรเทชันมันแรงมากแต่ว่ามันใช้เวลาลำนานแต่ว่าถ้าบอสไม่ให้เราลำเราก็ไม่มีดาเมจแต่ถ้าบอสให้เราลำเราก็มีดาเมจซึ่งศัตรูส่วนใหญ่ใน Wuthering Waves ผมเข้าใจว่าเราลำนานมากไม่ได้
on the boss you're facing, every characters can perform differently. And I think that's one of the greatest part about Wuthering Wave is that it is extremely reactive. Depending on your skill level, depending on the boss you're facing, you might find that some characters are just going to be playing better than the other. Character like Danji might be really good at doing damage with really good uptime, but if you can't utilize the uptime, or you just keep dying on Danji because you have skill issues, then she might not be that good for you. And I think that's the greatest part about this game compared to like any other game on the gacha market. You should determine what is actually good for your own play style. And that's one of the reasons why you just can't look at the DPS tier list and say like, oh, this character is better, so I'm going to play that character. No, it doesn't work like that, especially in a game like Wuthering Wave. Now, I'm not saying like tier list has no value at all. In fact, I think it serves some value. There are definitely characters that are, generally speaking, better than other characters. Farina is probably one of the best examples because Farina is just so overpowered that she is indeed like a league above any other characters. And I think tier list can kind of reflect that. There are certain characters that are not very good, maybe like Taochi, maybe like Yanwu, and therefore they deserve to be lower tier than like really good characters like Farina. But just looking at like, oh, Chixia do 2.6 seconds more damage than Danji, and so she's a better character. No, that's not how tier lists work. I think tier list has its place and its time and it's fun, especially because they generate discussion, but they're not the source of truth. You shouldn't be looking at this character is like tier 1 and therefore they're just not as good as tier 0. No, find your own characters that you enjoy playing, the character that suit your playstyles, and just play it. You know, I personally also have made tier lists in the past during the second close beta, according to what I believe was their second close beta string. Now, obviously, this tier list is completely outdated because the game is different now. And a lot of people keep asking me like, oh, are you going to make an updated tier list? Maybe eventually, but I feel like it's unfair to make a tier list right now just because I don't have the knowledge of like every single characters right now about how they stand.
ตัวละครที่เบิร์ดได้คือตัวละครที่เก่งเบิร์ดได้คูลดาวน์ต่ำ
DPS. They
ใน Wuthering Waves
calculate what's a
ตามใดที่บอสมันยังแว้นไปแว้นมาอย่างนี้ผมว่าตัวเบิร์ดก็ยังเก่งอยู่ยกเว้นว่าช่วงที่บอสล้มเนี่ยเราเบิร์ดได้แรงมาก
That's not how it works. The gameplay is always going to be different every time. The boss pattern will be different every time. The way you play the characters might be different every time. Then that's what makes this game great, is that it is not the same every time. You can't just expect yourself to follow a DPS rotation and get this damage every time. And that's why you should not be passing tier lists blindly around, and you need to stop completely trusting tier lists. Especially one where you can't even read. So, yeah.
เทนบอกว่าอย่าเชื่อเทียริสโดยเฉพาะที่เทียริสโดยเฉพาะเทียริสที่มึงอ่านไม่ออกเข้าใจไหมเทนบอกมาว่าอย่าเชื่อเทียริสโดยเฉพาะเป็นเทียริสที่มึงอ่านไม่ออกแรงมาก
I'm gonna tell you right now, the lingering soon set is dumpster fire. Do not ever touch this stuff. In Wuthering Wave, you can equip any 5 Echo totaling up to a cost of 12. Echo come in 3 classes in this game. Your 1 cost Echo, which are your common, your 3 cost Echo, which are your elite, and then your 4 cost Echo, which are your bosses. Boss Echo generally have more powerful stat like crit, as well as a better effect, but they have a 4 cost, so you can only equip up to 3 at the same time, and you won't be able to equip any more. On the other hand, 1 cost Echo have really poor effect as well as poor stats, but they only cost 1, so you can equip 5 of them. But since you only use 5 out of the 12 available costs, this is not really a efficient idea, just because, well, you can get so much more from equipping other Echo. For this reason, most people try to aim for a middle ground, particularly the 4-3-3-1-1 setup, where you do 1 4 cost, 2 3 cost, and 2 1 cost, and this conveniently allows you to proc the Sonata effect very easily. The Sonata effect, aka the set bonus, will trigger when you put 5 different pieces of the Echo together from the same element set. For the most part, they are always going to be increased. Increasing your damage percent by 40%. It just
รายนี้เก็บไหมไม่เก็บ
So for example, Glacial give you 10 on the 2 piece, and then a 10% for every time you do a basic attack up to 3 times, which total up to 40%. The same go with like the Molten Rift. you just get 40% right here. The same go for the Warrior Thunder. You just get 40% through 10 plus 15 plus 15 because this add up to 2 stacks. It's always going to add up to 40% if you're using a elemental damage set. Of course, there's a final special set, which is the Lingering Tune set. Instead of giving you damage percent, this gives you attack percent instead. And well, this set is completely garbage, and I'll explain why in a bit, but never ever use this set. Now, one of the best way to gain damage is actually to evenly distribute your stats. So you want some attack percent, but also some damage percent, and ideally some critical as well. The reason why this is the case is because of a simple math problem called optimization problem. You can kind of think about it as if you were to make a box with the biggest vault.
ก็คล้ายๆการบาลานซ์สแตทของสตาร์เรียวเกนชินก็เหมือนเกมทั่วไปก็คือแบบเราต้องบาลานซ์ระหว่างดาเมจเปอร์เซ็นต์พลังโจมตีแล้วก็คีแล้วก็ทำลายล้างถ้าเราเล่นทำลายล้าง
volume, the best way to do it will be to increase each side of the length evenly. You can easily find more information about this in like a children's calculus book, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here. Now here's the problem with the game. The game doesn't give you these stats evenly distributed. Damage percent only appear on 3 cost echo, while critical percent only appear on 4 cost echo. One of the peak example of this is going to come from your attack stats. Getting attack in this game is very easy. For a lot of you, you're probably running a attack percent weapon because critical percent weapon is very hard to come by unless you pay. On top of that, there are a lot of support that provide attack percent,
ว่าคีย์มีแค่5ดาวเหรอ
providing 20% attack
หิวเงินไม่ใช่เล่นนะเรา
in addition to the Moonlight Cloud bonus that provide you with 22% attack when you switch out. On the other hand, getting critical stat like critical rate and critical damage is extremely hard. Or rather, you have to get a lot of it to matter. That's because critical rate doesn't work with our critical damage, while critical damage likewise doesn't work with our critical hate. These two stats work together, so they're only beneficial when you're able to obtain both, which make it hard to actually be efficient of. And so the biggest mistake that anyone can possibly be making right now is trying to force themselves into putting the 5-piece Sonata effect together.
เหตุผลที่คีย์ต้นเกมไม่คุ้มเพราะว่าเราจะมีคีย์เรทไม่พอถ้าเรามีคีย์เรทพอเราก็จะมีคีย์ดาเมจได้พอเพราะว่าตัวเลขมันคาบเกี่ยวกันระหว่างคีย์เรทกับคีย์ดาเมจซึ่งมันต้องมีเยอะมากๆทั้งคู่มันถึงจะส่งผล
together. It's very hard to find 5 pieces with all the right stats, and even then they might have the wrong substat on them, which make it very difficult to actually make use of the 5-piece effect. And so some people will try a 4-4-1-1-1 setup where one of their 4 cost echo will have critical rate and then one of their 4 cost echo will have critical damage. I'm personally doing something else instead, where I'm running 4 free cost echo with havoc damage on each, or at least the damage that match my element. I'm doing this because without set bonus, this is technically a little more damage, and it's just really easy to get. I just go here and sort by the right element stat. So here I sort by Havoc Echo, and I just level them up and just call it. I don't care about the set bonus at all for now, because again, putting all 5 pieces together for the set bonus is actually really hard. Look at all of these mushrooms that I have. None of these have the right stats. Arrow damage bonus, fusion damage bonus, energy regen. And the one time that I do get the right stat, it could be the wrong set, so it just too hard. But what about the 4-4-1-1 setup? Should you be running that instead? Well, here's what I found out. The 4-4-1-1 setup, it's garbage. Never worth it. The Lingering Tune set, also garbage. Never worth it. And there's a strong reason why both of these is the case. They're too focused on attack percent. And instead, they end up lacking damage percent. Attack percent in this game at our current level is extremely inefficient, but also extremely oversaturated. Again, mostly come from the fact that characters like Farina just provide 20% here, and then the set bonus on the Moonlight just provide another 22% here. And if you're running the whatever this piece is called, then it gives you another 15% here. The main issues with the 4-4-1-1-1 setup is that you have to run 3 1-cost Echo. Presumably, they all have attack percent, which again is already oversaturated. But the more important thing is that the secondary line on these 1-cost echoes are going to be HP, while the secondary line on 4-cost or even 3-cost are going to be flat attack. With how low our current base attack is, these flat attack actually really matter. So my level 60 Danji with a level 60 weapon have a total of 435 base attack. But I'm running a 4-piece free cost setup that each give me 100 flat attack. So I'm basically getting double the amount of attack just from these flat attack already. Attack percentage scales so bad right now because our low base attack. And just as a reminder, attack percent are multiplied by the white number here, base attack. And so if this number is low, then whatever you end up multiplying later is going to be low. So attack percent, very bad. The other problem with the 4411 setup is that the only current way to do it and get the 5-piece set effect is if there were 2 bosses, which is the case for like Havoc or for Thunder. But for any other element, you cannot get a 5-piece set effect with the 4411 setup. So it's just generally speaking not really worth it. You have no set bonus, just running 4 pieces of the free cost with the damage bonus on your main stat is actually a pretty good idea, just because this gives you a lot of stat right away. But if you do have set bonus, if you can somehow find 5 pieces of the Sonata effect, then it will always be better. Keep in mind that this is only true when you have the right stat on them. So you can't just go ahead and put like 5 random pieces just to get a set effect. That's not going to give you any damage. Only when you have 5 pieces of the same element and they all have the right stat. So in this case, you have a Havoc set with the Havoc damage bonus on your free cost, and then hopefully a crit on your 4 cost, which for some reason I still don't have, then it'll be better. The 5-piece set effect on any corresponding element set is just really good. They pretty much always provide you with 40% damage, on top of the fact that a 5-piece set allows you to run a boss echo, which additionally provide you with some damage. For example, if I click on the monkey from the arrow echo, you can see, for example, the monkey boss echo, the Gale, provide you with 12% arrow damage bonus and another 12% heavy attack bonus for 15 seconds. And that is really good. That is absolutely a lot of damage. But again, only really worth it if you can put all 5 pieces together. I think that is the biggest thing you have to keep remembering. The 4x free setup is a really good way to get damage in very quick section, because again, you only have to care about the main stat. You don't have to go for the set bonus at all. You don't have to do anything. But it get outscaled very quickly, very fast once you're able to put 5 pieces of the same element together, just because you're missing like another echo here, so you're missing a lot of potential substat. If you're ever trying to gear out your DPS, you don't have to keep asking what set of echo to use. It's always going to be the corresponding element set. Havoc damage, use the Havoc set. Fusion damage, use the Fusion set. Thunder damage, use the Thunder set. Always try to aim for 5 pieces of the same element set, but with the right main stat. Without the right main stat, it is not worth it to force yourself into using the 5-piece bonus. Only when you have the right main stat and all 5 pieces, it become good. This is the reason why farming for free cost elite is so important. Because until you're able to find 2 different pieces with the corresponding matching element, oh, in this case, I got the electro damage bonus on the electro set. It is not good to run the 5-piece set. Oh, by the way, if you ever find one of these,
แชทมีลิงก์ไหม
keep it because it is so hard to find yet so
แปะ
important.
ไว้ใน
But yeah, I see
ห้อ
a
ง
lot of
Wuthering
people keep
Waves หน่อย
making
แล้
the
วผม
same
เข้า
mistake
ไป
of
อ่าน
just
ให้
putting the 5 pieces together without caring like what stat they have, just because it makes the most sense. But in reality, that's not a good idea until you're able to find the right stats. And without finding the right stats, it's more important to prioritize having the right stats and again, evenly distributing your stat first, because that's how you get the most amount of damage.
ก็คือสแตทถูกมากกว่าเซตทำสแตทให้ถูกก่อนแล้วค่อยไปทำเซต4-3-3-1-1เบสเซตอัพของเอ็กโคเพราะว่าเราไม่ควรใส่3ชิ้นเพราะว่าเราจะเสียซับสแตทจากบท25ไป2ชิ้น What else อันนี้เหมือนจะมีคนทำวิดีโอไปหลายคนแล้วป่ะที่แบบว่าเราตีบอสซ้ำถ้าตัวแรกไม่ดรอปตัวต่อไปการันตี
I was able to conquer and break into endgame within just 3 days of Wuthering Waves, defeating difficulty 4 bosses as well as breaking into the hazard zone of the tower. And all of this is done using a free-to-play build. What is the secret? I'll tell you right now. The strategy that I'm using involves using Danji. And of course, I know what you're thinking. It's always Danji, isn't it? yeah, she's the most broken 4-star character by far. But I want to make it very clear that I am trying to relate to be free to play. So what I mean by free to play build is that I'm using
วั
a
นนี้ยิง
4-star
คุณไอ
weapon.
ซ์ไปยัง
ยัง
That anyone can easily obtain because this is the ranger weapon that you get from the pre-registered box, so everyone can get this. And so my danji is sequence 0. I purposely kept my sequence not unlocked just so it's more relatable. Now, of course, you do have to get the danji from the gacha, which fortunately she's on the rate up banner right now, given that how many pull they gave us, including 20 limited pull just yesterday, on top of all the asteroid you get from playing the game. I think it is pretty fair to say most people will have one copy of danji, which is the base copy, which is where I am at. Now, at this point, a lot of people are asking, how are you able to get damage so fast, which I made a video on it just now. But the secret of it is always the same, just like my last video. I'm using a 4x3 setup. I have 4 free cost echo. Each one of them have havoc damage bonus on it. And this
ใส่
is one of the
CCC
cheapest and
เหมื
the
อนที่ไอ
fastest
ใส่
way to
แต่
get
ว่า
damage.
มัน
It is
เป็น
not the
มันเป็น
best.
ระ
Don't
เบิด
get
เปอร์เซ็นต์หมด
confused.
เลย
It is not the best in end game
แต่มัน
or
แต่มันเป็นเซต
even
early
the
เกม
season
อ่ะมันเซต
out.
ต้น
But
เกม
for now, this is a very easy way to find damage.
เขาไม่ได้
because
ใส่
you have
คี
to
ย์
roll
เขาใส่ดา
the
เมจเปอร์
havoc
เซ็นต์หมด
damage
เลย
line,
เพราะว่า
and
คีย์
that's
มัน
it. The main echo summon that I'm using is going to be the shroom just because this consumes no field time, so I can be attacking and I can just drop the shroom and just fire a laser. So this just add additional damage without me having to sacrifice any of my DPS uptime on Danji. But don't worry, I'm gonna have a complete Danji guide up for you very soon in like 2 days, so stay subscribed for that. Now, when it comes down to breaking into endgame as fast as possible, resource management is obviously the most important one. And for that, I pretty much just pumped out all the resources into my Danji. Every single skill is level 4, and obviously my Danji is level 60 with a level 60 weapon. All the other characters in this account are basically unlevel. At best, they're level to level 40 because it doesn't cost a lot of material to level them to 40. After you hit level 40, it will cost you boss material to level them up, and it's just not really worth the energy to farm in my opinion, so I just stop at this point. The only exception is Rover and Verena. Verena, I needed the first passive, this is really good, plus Verena is the best support in the entire game, so I leveled it Verena to level 50 and I got this passive and I stopped. And I didn't really level with the skill at all, other than for the guidebook. But the other character that I also level is Rover. This is because Rover is free to ascend. When you ascend on Rover, it does not cost boss material. You use these mysterious code that you get from the story, from the delivery, and so therefore it does not cost you a lot of energy to ascend on Rover. Therefore, he's my second DPS and he's level 60. But even then, he's not as invested as my Danji. His skills are only like level 3 or even level 2, just because, again, it costs resources. Now, what most people like to consider to be the end game is going to be the Tower of Adversary, at least for now, the reachable one. The Hazard Zone is obviously the real end game, and obviously I clickbaited all of you by saying I beat it, but you haven't beat it. But just to make it really clear, this is currently unbeatable. There's no way no one can ever beat this right now. The Tower of Hazard has level 100 enemy and is extremely hard, extremely tanky. No one is going to be able to beat this for like another month or 2 months because we're capped by our level.
รอไปกลางวั
We
นตอน
can't
เราถึง
level
เอ็นเกม
beyond
แล้วดี
level
กว่า
60
ตอน
right
นี้
now
ยังไม่
unless
ถึง
we hit
ยังไม่ถึงเวลา
level
ที่เราจะ
40,
ไป
and that's
ไปยุ่ง
going to
กับ
take
คีย์
so long. It's going to
เอา
take
จริ
daily
ง
gated. So yes, no one can
ๆมัน
ever
ยังไม่ใช่เว
actually
ลา
reach the
มินแม็ก
actual
ตัว
end
ละ
game
ค
to
ร
be level 100
เรายังไปไม่
enemies.
ถึงเอ็นเก
But
ม
for now, you can at least get there. Main reason I keep telling people to do not fall for the mistake of building free teams because you heard someone say you need it. You don't. At least not for another 2 months. You really don't need free teams right now because you're never ever beating the Tower of Hazard right now. And I keep telling people this, please save your resource to pour it into mostly one characters. And the reason why you do that, for example, is my Danji, is because you can beat the second tower this way by properly splitting up your team. The way I split up my team is in a very specific order, and you'll see. Because my Danji is the strongest characters, I purposely did a 1-4 setup. So I put Danji on the first floor, and then I put Danji on the 4th floor. And on the other side, I did the exact same thing. I put Danji on the first floor, and I put Danji on the 4th floor. This costs up to exactly 10 energy, and I can run my strongest characters for both of the level 70 bosses, which is the Thundering Rapist, as well as the Morning Axe right here. And this is the secret number 1 to conquering endgame right now, is that you make one character really strong, and you use it for the both side of the hardest floor. Now you'll see I use it Rover for the other 2 floors. So 2 free, I use it Rover. Again, that add up to 5. The same for the other side. 2 free, I use it Rover as my DPS, and that up to 5. Now these enemies are pretty easy, But the one trick here is that because there is a Havoc Rover, which is the one I'm playing, I can share gear between Danji and Rover. So when it's my turn to play Rover, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go take all the Danji gear over. So all of these. So like, because I have level 25 Havoc damage bonus on Danji, I can equip these on Rover when it's my turn to use Rover in the tower. And then my Rover can get really, really strong damage without me ever investing into Rover at all. And that's like the secret. I said, play two characters that can share gear and you can get so far because you don't have to farm for 2 gear. Just farm for 1 really good gear is good enough. Now, of course, there is the outer game mode, the hologram. In this
คือ
game,
เล่น
doing
คือเล่น
something
ชั้น
with
แรกเสร็จ
5
ปุ๊บพอ
answers
เข้า
are
ชั้น
pretty
2
much
ก็
impossible
ก็โยน
right
เกียร์
now.
ทั้งหมด
But
จาก
it's
อี
a
กตัวหนึ่ง
basic.
มาให้ตัวหนึ่ง
Our
ใส่
character are level 60, while the enemy are level 80. So it's just gonna be very, very hard for
เกนชินทำไม่ได้นะเกนชินล็อก
or even the level 91. But you can definitely
ส
beat
ตาร์
up
เดียว
to
ก็ทำไม่ได้
difficulty 4 right now. In fact, I'm a little sad that they actually nerfed difficulty 4 because they don't spawn the additional monkey anymore. So back in the beta, this monkey used to spawn like additionally ninja monkey that will kind of shoot peeping at you. And I'm sad they removed it because now the boss is a little too easy. But that's actually also a nerf. Here's the thing. Danji do more damage with counter. So every time you dodge and you do your counter
ผ
attack,
มเกลียดแพรรี่กับเคา
Danji's
น์เตอร์
actually do
ผ
more
ม
damage.
ผมต้อง
This
เกลีย
is
ดดัน
because
จี
of
มาก
her
แน่
passive that allow you to do 20% more damage when you do a dodge counter. And if there's less thing
ๆมีช้อยอื่นไว้ฟากไม่มีอ๋อผมมีมีอีกตัว แต่ดูเหมือนตัวนี้มันจะไม่ใช่เมน DPS ป่ะ ผมต้องเล่นแพรรี่เหรอฟากผมเกลียดแพรรี่
attacking you, then there's less way you can dodge. That means there's less dodge counter you can do, so you do less damage. So yes, I'm really sad they nerfed these hologram stuff, but now for the most part, I think you're understanding what
ไม่คือคุณตาเนาไม่เข้าใจว่าเราต้องเล่นตัวละครที่มันเป็นฮาวอก2 ตัว แล้วเราก็แชร์เกียร์กันระหว่าง2 ตัว ซึ่งมันก็มีแค่ MC กับตัวนี้ อีกตัวหนึ่งมันทำดาเมจไม่ได้ แปลว่าผมโดนบังคับเล่นตัวนี้ถ้าผมจะเล่นแบบ10
what the strategy is that you play Danji and you share Havoc gear with Havoc Rover. But there's just one problem, the Heron. The Heron enemy in this game have high Havoc resistance. So this is the only boss you won't be able to beat with either Danji or Havoc Rover.
แต่
So
ยังไง
what
ผม
do
ก็
you
ต้อง
do?
ปั้นตัวดาเมจเพิ่มอีก
Good
ท่าหนึ่ง
question.
อยู่ดี
You go to your Rover and you switch him to Specto. And now you have a high level characters that can do damage to Havoc resistance enemy. Now conveniently, the Heron, which is the enemy with Havoc resistance, is the
สลับท่า
easiest
MC
boss in
ไป
this
ตี
game. It has the lowest HP out of every boss by far, so you can get away with just using the Specto Rover. And then again, conveniently, the Spectral Rover is one of the characters that's available in the roguelike game mode, Elusive Realm. So when you level your Spectral Rover, you can just use these characters to beat the rest of the game mode in here, and it's just extremely resource efficient. My point is, if you're free to play, this is going to be the best strategy to break into endgame by far. It's going to be the most efficient, it's going to be the fastest, it's going to get you the strongest, especially once you actually do reach endgame. The thing here is that with the new event, you'll be able to get a free 5-star weapon when you hit Union level 45.
กล่องเลือกอาวุธ5 ดาว
Conveniently,
1 ชิ้น
between all the
ก็
standard
ไม่งกมาก
weapons,
นะ
the sword is the strongest one by far because this one have crit rate. It also increases your attack by 12%. Where if you were to compare to the other weapon like the Cosmic Ripples, this one has attack percent and also only increase your basic attack damage. So it's not that beneficial and it's not that universal. And conveniently, Rover and Danji both uses the sword. So if you're free to play, you should definitely be following this strategy, going for the sword when you're Union 45. This will be the fastest, cheapest, easiest, the best way to get into endgame. And if you, it's not too late to prepare.
ผมไม่
Okay,
อยากเล่นดัน
please
จี
subscribe to the channel so it's never too late. Get the most updated news. Bye.
What choice do we have อืมมีตัวไหนที่เป็นสเปกโตอีกบ้างเอ่อโรเวอร์สเปกโตมีเวอรีนาแล้วก็ไม่ใช่เวอรีนาเป็นซับนี่ปักเอ่อซอสตามอาวุธได้ไหมเนี่ยจะได้แชร์อาวุธได้อย่างมิดอย่างน้อยก็ขอให้แชร์ดาบได้ก็ยังดีซานหัวซานหัวเก่งบ่าวะตีตีตีตีตีตีตีตีตีตีตีตีตีตีดาเมจบลาบลาบลาดาเมจบลาบลาบลาดาเมจบลาบลาบลาดาเมจเอาโทบวกตีธรรมดา38เปอร์ฮะฮะฮะฮะใช้จี้เยอะกว่าใช้25แต่แรงกว่าประมาณเกือบ2 เท่าคูลดาวน์ก็เท่ากันฮะฮะฮะสกิลก็แรงกว่าอืมโลโก้บางตัวเลขน่าจะเห็นละอืมอืม ชูรี่เดสเฟร์
คำแดนจินเมน แม็กก็ต้องเก่งอยู่แล้ว มีเกมไหนทำแม็กกากด้วยหรอ XD
เกมจีแถวๆนี้ เกมจีแถวๆนี้
I'm going to be teaching you how to get damage fast right now. When it comes down to building your characters in Wuthering Waves, just focusing on attack in the early game is good enough, which you can see currently I have 14 off. There's a lot of different stats in this game, like crit, damage percent, you don't have to worry about too much of those. For the early game, focusing on attack is good enough. Leveling your character to the highest level possible as well as your weapon to the highest level possible is going to be the most important factor. This is because they give base attack, which is this white number. This base stat is then multiplied by all your other multiplier, which means that if your base stat is low, the rest of the stat is going to be low. So make sure your base stat is high up by leveling up your characters and your weapon first. If you don't know what weapon to level, looking for a 4-star weapon with a damage substat is going to be the best, whether that be attack or crit. For the most part, it's just going to be attack because crit weapons are very hard to acquire. If you don't have any 4-star weapon, then using a 3-star weapon is okay. Leveling up your skill is also going to be one of the more important things because they can get you higher multiplier. Now, when you come down to the skill tab, you can see a lot of things. For the most part, I would only worry about leveling your basic attack, your skills, your forte circuit, as well as your liberation. Now, there's a lot of these small notes at the top of your skills. To be honest, none of these are important that you don't have to worry about them right now. They cost way too much material and the gain is not that big. They're only really for like perfecting your characters. Other than the two in the middle. The two big skills in the middle are going to be new inherent passive that you get for your characters, and depending on the characters, it could be very important to level as fast as possible. For example, when it comes to my Verena, the first inherent passive allow my entire party to get a 20% attack buff whenever they cast a Starfire Bloom. That is extremely good. That is extremely important because it gives you so much damage to your entire party very easily. So that would be one of the first skill you level, for example.
ก็
However,
จะ
in
รีโหลดก็
comparison,
คือรี
I
โหล
wouldn't
หาวอ
level
ลิน่า
any of the
ห
skill
รือ
on
ไม่
my
ก็
Verena because she's
เอา
a
ตัวฟาด
support
หัว
and
ว
I
อลิ
don't
น่าออก
really
มาจา
care
ก
about
ตู้
her doing damage. So I'm mostly focusing all my
ผมเข้า
resources
ใจถูก
into
ไหม
my main damage dealer, Danji, instead. Now, I'm sure you're already familiar with all of these basic tips, leveling your characters, leveling your weapon, because you're subscribed to the channel. What I'm about to give you is the advanced tips on how to build your echoes. So pay attention, listen up, get your note ready. When it comes down to building your echoes in the early game, you don't have to care about the set bonus too much. It is very hard to piece together 5 pieces of the set bonus. For the most part, just look up for the main stat. That's going to be the stat at the very top right.
9 เดือนแล้วจะไม่
And
ลด
just
9
look
ไก่
for stats that are like attack, look for stats that are
Huh?
like damage bonus, and crit rate are going to be really good. There's actually a method to acquire these 5-star attack echo early on, even before you unlock them in your data bank. There are these special enemies that will drop you 5-star echo early, guaranteed. And I have a completely separate video on every single one of their locations in the game, so go ahead and go do those. Make sure you're not making the mistake of building crit damage. Crit damage is not very good in the early game. That is because you don't have enough crit rate to actually utilize it. You always want to be focusing on building crit rate first before you invest into building crit damage. So don't make the mistake of building crit damage right now. Ideally, you build crit rate and crit damage in a 1-to-2 ratio, which means for 1 crit rate you have, you build 2 crit damage. Now that's a little complicated to understand, but don't worry because I'll have a complete build guide later on. Now another really
เกม
easy
นี้
way
มัน
to
เริ่ม
gain
คีย์ดาเม
damage
จ
is
ที่
actually to use
ที่
the
กี่
boss
เปอร์อะ
echo.
แชท
That's not only because they come with a very powerful effect that do a lot of damage, but most importantly, if you don't know, is that after you cast their skills, it actually
คีย์ดำ
increases
เริ่มที่
their character
150
stats. So for example, if you
คีย์
use
ดำขยะ
the Ice Boss Echo, which is whatever you pronounce this one,
คีย์
you can see
ดำ
that
200 มี
each
ประโยชน์อะไร
shot
ถ้าเรา
will increase
ถ้า
the
ถ้าเราไม่
current
คีย์
character's glacial damage by 4% and increase their skill
เริ่ม
damage by
คีย์เลนเริ่มที่
4%. So for example, in this case, that means just by using the Boss Echo ability, you can gain 12% ice damage bonus and 12% skill damage bonus. And that is a lot of stats. So make sure you're using your boss damage echo. Now, one of the best boss damage echo to actually use in your entire game is actually going to be the Herald.
อ๋อ 1 ต่อ
That's
2 มันคือ
because if you
50
use
200
this echo and then you
เหรอ
switch out to different characters
มัน
by
คือ
using their
มันคือ
outro
50 เหมือนเกนชิ
skills,
น
the
ไม่
next
แค่แบบ
character
มันเริ่ม
gets
ที่
a
150
4% damage boost.
100% คือเบสอ
So
ยู่
what
แล้
you
ว
want to be doing is to build an outro on one character, use this echo ability, and then switch out. And this gives the next character that switch in a bunch of damage boost.
Okay,
Conveniently, this built into the Sonata effect set, which when you have 5 pieces of it, when you use a outro skill, it gives the next character that come in a 22% attack buff. When it comes down to building your support character in the early game, like Verena or any other character that is not your main DPS, what you want to do is just put the 5-piece Moonlight Cloud on, and then use the Heron as your main ability echo, and that's it. You don't have to care about their stat. You know, on my Verena, I'm using like arrow damage bonus, I'm using defense. You don't even have to care about their rarity. It doesn't have to be a 5-star. It's fine to use a green color echo. All you care about is to put all 5 pieces of Moonlight on it so that you can get the set bonus, as well as put the Heron
Moonlight
ability echo on your main slot, and just by doing this, you can give your next character a massive amount of damage, which is gonna be your main DPS. Just to quickly summarize the info up to this point, for your main DPS, don't care about the stat bonus, but rather care about the stats. On your support, don't care about the stats, but care about the stat bonus first. You're gonna fix everything late game and eventually switch all of them out, but for now, that's good enough. Now, when you have no stat bonus, here's actually a secret technique that allows you to get damage quick, and that is you actually build 4 free cost echo.
พูด
The
คำว่าเก
reason
ชิน
why
ห
you
นึ่ง
do
ครั้ง
this
ต้อง
is
กินเหล้าหนึ่ง
because so that you can get 2 damage
แน่นอน
bonus echo and then 2 attack
พูด
echo.
คำพูด
But
คำว่า
more
เกชิน ตอน
importantly is
ตอน
that
เล่น
these free
ตอนเล่น
cost
Wuthering
echo
Waves
come with a 100 attack on the second line, while even if you build your 1 cost echo to plus 25, they only give you HP. One of the biggest reasons why this works right now is because you're low level
ไม่ได้
and
เปลี่ยน
so
เกม
you're
แค่แบบ
low
มา
base stat.
มาดู
So
ไกด์
therefore
เฉ
your
ย
attack percent multiplier is not as meaningful. Where if you were to just build a free cost echo, they give you plus 100 attack each flat.
ๆราย
And
ที่
so
มี
this
คำว่า
is
จี
a very
คำ
quick way to
เยอะ
just get a bunch of attack. You can optimize a little bit by trying to go for what we call a 2-piece set bonus. While it is extremely hard to acquire all 5 pieces of a Solita effect, you can instead go for just the 2-piece itself, which still give you a little bit of stats. And since you have 5 echo that you can equip, or even if you're running the free strat, you have 4 echo that you can equip. That means you can run 2 of the 2-piece set bonus at the same time, which usually is going to be your damage bonus and your attack bonus. The Linger in Tunes effect give you 10% attack bonus, extremely universal, so this is one of the first Solita effect you should aim for. The other effect you should aim for is, generally speaking, it's going to be your elemental damage type. So on a Havoc set, for example, you would look for the Havoc damage bonus. On a Thunder characters or Thunder set, you would look for a Electro damage bonus and stuff like that. When it comes down to the main stat on your free cost echo, you can run either attack or damage bonus. Now, damage bonus is going to be better, but the problem with it is going to be is that it is a lot less universal. Because damage bonus is only corresponding to the damage class that you're on. So for example, this is Havoc damage bonus. I can only use this on the Havoc characters. I wouldn't be able to switch this to my other characters if I want to play them, like for example, my Spectre Rover.
3
So a better idea, also one that's probably easier to farm, is to probably mix and match, where you can mix 2-piece attack main stat with 2-piece Havoc damage main stat, for example. It is technically better to just do full damage
จ
bonus
ริง
for now,
ๆเล่น
but the difference
3-3-3
is not that
เล่น
big, so you
3
might
มา
want
แล้
to
ว
consider
1-1 ได้ไหม
doing like 1 attack
3
piece
3
with
1
free
1มันได้
damage piece,
มันได้
or
เซต
maybe
5 ไหม
even free attack piece with 1 damage piece, just so that you can transfer these echo over
แล้ว
to
ผม
your
เข้าใจ
other
คือบางที
characters.
ตัว 1-1 มันไม่ได้อยู่ในเซต
If you want a very universal setup, you can actually do a 4-4-1-1-1 setup, where you have free 1 cost echo with attack on them, and then 1 4 cost echo with crit damage main stat, 1
แต่
4
ตอน
cost echo with crit
แต่
range.
ตอนเลทเก
This
มเราก็ต้อง
allows you
ส
to
ลับไป
basically transfer over the
4-3-3
echo
1-1 อยู่
to
ดี
every single character that you
ซึ่ง
use,
ช่อง
meaning
3
you
มัน
only
ก็
have
เปลี่ย
to
นเป็นช่อง
build
คีย์
1
เรียนได้
set
อยู่
of
ดี
echo. In the end, your main goal is always
แล้ว
going
ถ้า
to
ข้อ
be to
3 มัน
work
มี
towards
แค่
the
2 ตัว
4 3
ห้าม
3
ใส่
1
ซ้ำเหรอ
setup, just because it is
เกม
the
มา
best. But that's only really the best when you can get all 5 pieces of the Solita effect. Otherwise, using something like 4-4-1-1-1 or even 3-3-3-3 is very comparable. So I highly suggest people to try to aim for those right now for the early game, because again, the topic of this
4
is
ฟาร์
how
ม
to
ง่าย
get
กว่าเพราะมัน
damage
เป็นบอส
fast.
ป่ะเพราะ
And
บอ
I
สมี
think
แม
this
คา
is
นิก
worth
การันตี
doing
ดอก
because it'll take you
Echo
probably a long time to hit unit level 40, as it takes 6,000 EXP per unit level at this point. And so it'll be a long time before you're able to ascend your character to level 70, including your weapon, where you start increasing the base stats,
ได้
and
เวลาเล่น
therefore
CCC
attack percent is going to start valuing more and more before the flat attack that you get from these. So honestly, it'll be a while until your free setup kind of get outdated, and you have a lot of time to work toward that. So that's would be my recommendation for now. With that being said, that's pretty much it. Subscribe as always. Check out my Twitch, where I'll probably be challenging the hardest content starting from now on with my new free setup. See you all later. here's a way to guarantee any echo drop in Wuthering Wave. And no, it is not the data bank. This is only 90%, not 100%. But before I even fight this boss, I already know he would drop. This is because there's a way to guarantee it. And you can also see my
ข้อที่ของบอสคือมันฟาร์มได้เรื่อยๆไงมันไม่หมดแมปเลยแบบเราเข้าไปตีในด่านได้
But as soon as I kill this
แต่
boss
ตัว
in like
3 ดาว
1 second
มัน
using my very
มัน
good
มีแค่ในแม
teammate,
ป
you'll be able to see that it will guarantee me a drop, right? So I'm gonna kill it right here. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, massive Ling Yang video dropping tomorrow or in 2 days. Oh, there you go. See, it dropped. It's a guaranteed drop. Why? Well, I'm about to tell you. So make sure you subscribe. So a lot of you might know that echo farming in this
เดม
game is
เล่าทุก
about
ครั้ง
like
ที่เกณฑ์ที่
20% chance for you to get a drop.
ที่เทน
But
พูด
there's
คำว่า
actually
subscribe
a pity system, which means that if you didn't get a drop enough time, your next farm or your next kill is guarantee a drop. So here I didn't get a drop, and that's okay because this way my next boss kill is gonna guarantee me a drop. Any boss in this game, it could be like
รอบสุดท้าย
Dreamers,
ก็
it
คือ
could be like Star, or it could be the
4-3-3-1ใช่
Fun
แต่
Ring.
ตอนนี้มันยังไม่ถึงตอนเลท
Map
เกมไง
So the strategy is very simple. If you kill a boss and it didn't get a drop, your next boss
ช่อง
kill
3 มันไม่มีส
is
ไตล์คี
guaranteed
ใช่
to
เพราะ
get
ต้
a
น
drop.
เกม
So
คีมัน
here,
เล่นไม่ได้
oh, I'm killing it too quick. But here, basically, what I have done is I've set up 2 waypoints between the 2 boss, and I'm just gonna go back and forth between these 2 boss very, very rapidly. We can also kill a different boss, and I'll just show you real quick. Let's go kill Crownless, I guess. And I'm gonna do this video in 1 take just to show that it is guaranteed. Alright, so let's say you are farming for Inferno Rider boss Echo. You should be picking another boss to be killing in the meantime, because if the other boss didn't get a drop, then when you go back to your Inferno Rider, you know that it's gonna guarantee you a drop. So here I'm gonna actually come into, let's do Crownless, right? Maybe he will drop me a good Echo. Where's he? Hello?
อ้าวลินอย่างเป็นผู้ชายเหรอ
I didn't even come over. Hiya, hiya, hiya. Okay. Alright, watch. It's gonna guarantee me a drop right here because my Inferno Rider didn't drop. And so you can see now the Crownless drop because my last one didn't drop. And so my next one, it's like a 20% chance. But if it didn't drop, that's okay. Because then I know my next boss is gonna be a 100% drop. So this is the reason why a lot of people are saying that there's a bug where every other run you're getting an echo. It is not a bug. It is a pity system built into the game. And every single echo in this game has a pity system. Echo in the same class will share a same pity counter, and it'll be different per type of echo. So boss type enemy has a 2 pity counter, which means every 2 kill will guarantee you a drop. And again, I showed you that already. And a different example would be elite enemy. For elite enemy, every 4 kills will guarantee you a drop. That
อ๋อ
means if you
อีลิ
kill
ทอีลิ
free
ท4
elite
ตัว
enemy,
บอส 2 ตั
any
ว
elite enemy in this games, and you didn't get a drop, you know for a fact that your next kill will get a drop. In fact, let me see if I can show you that right now by firing some echo. So here's 1 elite kill. Okay, this one got a drop. So every time you get a drop, it reset the counter. So now I have to kill 3 more to guarantee myself a drop. Okay, that one didn't drop, so that's my first kill because again I reset the counter. Let's move on to the next one. By the way, how was your guys' day? By the way, since I want to do this video in 1 take just to prove that it's like real. I don't think any of these are elite, so I'm gonna ignore them. You can kill any of the elite on the way. Again, all the same class share the same counter. So if you see like any elite, you can kill them. Just make sure to keep your counter, so that you can guarantee your next one, right? And if you're bored, there's always twitch.tv/1010duo. I am 101010. I think this one is an elite. Okay, so that's my second elite kill without a drop. There's gonna be my 3rd elite here. Please don't give me a. This is the one time I'm hoping that it doesn't give me a drop, so that I can prove it. Okay, it didn't give me a drop. Nice. So let's say I'm hunting for this elite, right? And now that I have killed 3 elite without getting a drop, this next kill I will kill is guaranteed to get me a drop. Let's go run over. I think he should be right here. I see him maybe? I don't see him. Is he that guy? Okay, so this is the elite, right? This is my 4th elite kill. But if I kill this guy, guarantee a drop. I don't even have to look. See? Guarantee a drop. Because this is my 4th kill, and I did 3 kills before without getting a drop. So, use this information however you want. If you're hunting for a specific boss, make sure you're hunting 2 bosses at the same time. It will maximize your efficiency so much more. If you're hunting for elite, make sure you're hunting like all of them or multiple of them at the same time. And make sure you keep track of the elite counter. And that's all I got for you today. The common echo has a pity as well, but it doesn't really matter as much because common echoes spawn in a batch, so you don't have to worry about the pity counter on the common. It is not worth trying to count like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. For elite, it's every 4. For boss, it's every 2. So keep track of the counter when you kill enemy, and make sure that if you're hitting a pity, the next enemy you kill is one that you really, really, really want. And that's all I got for you today. I'm not going to stretch the video any longer. Not one of those people. Bye-bye. Subscribe. I don't understand why people are hating on Ling Gang. He's so cute and he's such a beast in the game. So from now on, I'm gonna be the #1 best Ling Gang in the world.
Best Ling อย่างที่มีสกิลอิชชูเวลาเล่นเกมซินิมแพ็กกันนะ
Watch it again. Oh, look at my mobility. Whoa. Bunny hopping.
Wow, motion sickness บัดแนวนอน
That was my first 5-star drop. If this is Destiny, it's gonna be... Oh, it's gonna be crit rate! It's Destiny! H? Oh, high roll crit damage? Crit rate.
ปล่อยไว้ไม่ได้คนแบบนี้
Okay. Look at that.
เอ้ยยี่หมดน่ารักไปโดมาเป็นดิสคอร์ด
Look
ได้
at
ไหม
this.
จะเสียทันจิโร่แฟลชแบ็กตอนเล่นยานใน ROV
10,000 likes on this video and subscribe and I'll cosplay Ling Yang straight up. Do you guys know his
ขาดตั้ง 9,000
Ultra 600% scaling?
どこにいるでしょう
เผื่อใครไม่รู้เวลาเราเล่น ROV คนภาคหยานกับทันจิโร่คือคนเดียวกันใช้คุ้มเลยนะคือหยานที่มันจะกินดีฟอลต์ของ ROV คนภาคทันจิโร่ก็ภาคพอใส่ชุดทันจิโร่ก็หยานเหมือนเดิม
Dude, my game is bugged and his bell is ringing so much.
มาก่อนการ
No wonder why he's a jingle beast. If you like Lin Yang, subscribe because you're about to witness the greatest Lin Yang player in existence. Dude, what is this damage? Oh, good morning. If you've been playing Wuthering Waves for a little bit now, by now you should be at unit level 30, and at this point, we're probably projected to hit unit level 40 by probably the end of this week. I want to talk about Havoc Rover a little bit, because for some reason, they forgot to balance them. For some reason, they gave Havoc Rover ult a immense scaling. So for example here, you can see that the Havoc Rover ult does 800% scaling on level 2, and if I switch this to the Spectral version for example, you'll see that the scaling is a lot lower. Coming into the Spectral version right here, click out. Oh, my ult does 440% total. So my Havoc Rover basically do double for some reason. I think Havoc Rover might be
ความ
one
รู้สึก
of
เมื่
the
อ
strongest
คุณสลับจาก
characters in
MC
this
กา
game
ย
right
ภาพ
now,
ไป MC
and
ประ
you
สา
can
น
get it by completing the story, which most of you should be completing by now. So I figured this would be a good time to talk about, yes, you should absolutely be building Havoc Rover. Conveniently, at the beginning of the week, there's a really easy way to do it, which is what I'm going to talk about today. There's a really easy way you can get the 5-piece Havoc set right now, and you can transfer this onto a character like Danji or Taochi if you want to play them later. Coming into the beginning of the week, into your databank, you'll see this enhanced drop rate in your databank. So here, you can see that your first 15 boss enemy will have a 90% drop rate to drop an Echo. And conveniently, the Dreamless Echo, which is one of the best Echo for Havoc Rover, is extremely easy to farm. You basically just come into the Dreamless domain, you kill the boss within the lowest level, and you can kill it like extremely quick, right? You can kill it in like 10 seconds. Your goal is basically just to farm the Dreamless domain until you find a good Dreamless Echo, which is the best in slot for Havoc Rover, because it just does so much damage, and it does even more damage if you cast your ult on Havoc Rover and then use the Echo skills. You don't have to look for one that's really good, just a good one with a good main stat is good. So look for either crit rate main stat or a crit damage main stat, and that's good enough. And with the enhanced drop rate, you should be able to find one pretty quick. The Dreamless Echo is extremely easy and extremely quick to farm though. It's just a little quicker to farm with the enhanced drop rate. But a other strategy that you can do is you farm other Echo first because they might take you longer to kill, and then you go back to kill the Dreamless Echo later because the Dreamless Echo is so quick to farm anyway, so you might not care to use the enhanced drop rate on Dreamless. That's up to you depending on if you're a casual player and you just want to get a really strong character right now, or you want to maximize your efficiency a little bit. The other thing I do want to talk about are these two free slot Echo, which you really want to get Havoc damage bonus on. Now there's actually a very easy and guaranteed way to get it, and that is through one of the new event, the Elusive Realm. Coming to the Depth of Elusive Realm event, if you click on the shop here, there's actually going to be a Echo that you can buy in the shop, and this will give you a guaranteed Echo with a guaranteed corresponding set on a guaranteed main stat. So we can read here that the list of Echo. The one you're looking for is going to be the Wolf in this box, because you can see that the Wolf, the Dream Mare, is guaranteed to be on the Havoc set with Havoc damage bonus. And likewise on the other set, you want to pick this guy. However you pronounce his name, I don't actually know. And basically that guarantee you your top 3 slot very easily filled up. So now all you have to do is look for a attack 1 slot. In fact, if you're kind of lazy, you can just kind of put whatever into these for now. Attack percent scaling is not really that great right now. It is still damage, don't get me wrong. But if you're really lazy, honestly, you can just put a 1-cost echo on the right set just so you can get the 5-piece bonus. What you really matter is going to be leveling up these 3 echo to level 25 because these 3 give you immense stats. And that's all you do. That basically allows your Havoc Rover to do immense damage because for some reason, nobody balances this character. This character is just broken. Like, I don't know. If you're having trouble beating the depth of Elusive Realm, a really good way to actually do it is actually just to use the trial characters. Especially for level 61, what you want to do is use a Trial Gian with the Inferno Rider Echo. And then for the level 65 one, use the Trial Tao Chi with the Turtle Echo. Let's just say these 2 builds are extremely OP. Woo! Oh, my game is lagging. What the fuck is it? What the fuck? Turtle, hold left click. Turtle, hold left click. Turtle, hold left click. I mean, you get the idea now. Turtle, where's OP?
อันนี้เหมือนซิมูเลตป่ะที่แบบ
basically
เรา
allow you
หา
to
บั
build
ฟ
your
ได้
Havoc Rover extremely quick and extremely strong. So you should be building Havoc Rover right now. Welcome to the beginning of the week. Enjoy Wuthering Waves. That's all I gotta say. Bye.
มีอะไรที่ผมต้องรู้อย่างไหมเชฟ
Notice how I'm not doing anything, but I'm still collecting material? Well, that is the power of abusing the co-op system in Wuthering Waves. And in this video, I'll be going over everything you need to know about co-op. More importantly, how to abuse it for 3 times as many
รู้วิธีโหลด
material.
เกม
Co-op in this game unlock around unit
โอน
level
มา
22,
โอนมา
and it
3,000 เดี๋ยว
allows
รู้
up
เล
to
ย
3 players to play together at the same time. In order to create a co-op instance, just head to the co-op menu once you have unlocked them, and then you can apply to join anyone's who co-op instance in the same world along with yours. So here you can see you can't really request on higher level player because they have a higher level world, but you're able to join anyone who has
กด
a
เปลี่ยน
lower
ภา
level
ษา
world
นับ
than
ไหม
you. Player 1 is
ผมรู้
considered
ว่าถ้า
to
กด
be
ภาษา
the
ไทยแล้ว
host of
มัน
the
จะ
world, and so
เกมมันจะ
any
บั๊ก
other player will be joining their world, and therefore you will be able to interact with their world, except not in a meaningful way because you can't unlock chests or collect stuff for them. The most useful feature in Wuthering Waves Co-op is going to be defeating enemy together. That is because all of you can get the material drop from the enemy as well as potential echoes drop. And if you guys defeated a boss, then all of you be able to spend your own energy to claim the boss material. Please note that echo drop is according to your own databank drop rate. So sometimes when you defeat an enemy, one of you might see an echo drop, but the other might not see a one because it is all according to your own databank rates for your probability and rank. Most useful feature when it comes down to all of these is to take down difficult special enemy in co-op. These enemies are extremely high level and can be very difficult to take down, but if you play in co-op, then you'll be able to do triple the amount of damage because there'll be 3 of you attacking the enemy at the same time. In co-op, combat work exactly the same as solo. Instead of controlling 3 characters for yourself though, each of you will be controlling 1 character of your team. Now since you're only going to be controlling 1 character, you can no longer switch character. And you might be wondering, does that mean you can't do intro and outro? Well, actually, yes you can. In co-op, when your own concerto energy fill up, your teammate can actually click the number corresponding to your portrait to perform their own intro. In this example, number 1 player, Yinlin, has her concerto energy fill. So I can actually click the number 1, I can click on the portrait of Yinlin to perform my own intro skills. Other than that, for the most part, all other effects that usually affect your entire party will now affect other players as well. So for example, Verena healing will heal other player in your co-op, so you can heal all 3 players together at once. Ores are actually automatically shared between players. So that means that when you collect an ore in this game, it will automatically be shared and duplicate across all the players.
Huh?
You don't have to pick it up. You don't have to even be the one to harvest the ore. As soon as 1 player harvests an ore, all players will be given a copy of it. And this worked across distance. This is how the intro clip was created. I basically was just AFK in somewhere in the corner while my friends were collecting the ore, and I was still able to collect them because again, when 1 player collect an ore, they're all share and all copy over. The same go with monster material or echo. So for example, here I'm fighting a boss and an echo drop for me, while my friend is fighting a monster somewhere else. you can see I'm getting their material as well. I can then teleport over to my friends and check if the echo they just killed dropped for me, and here it did. So here you can see that distance do not matter in the game. It doesn't matter who killed it, it doesn't matter how far you are, it doesn't matter if you're even in game or you can be AFK. If one of you is killing something, some corner in the world, you will be able to get all of the reward as well. This effectively means is that you can divide and conquer up your entire map into 3 equal portions. Your first player is going to go ahead and kill everything in this area, including collecting every single ore. Your second player will go ahead and kill everything in this area, including collecting every single ore. And your last player is going to
เรา
go
เล่นได้
ahead and
4
kill
คน
everything
เราก็จะ
in
แบ่ง
this
งานเป็น
area,
3 ส่วน
again,
แล้วผมก็จะยืน
collecting every single
AFK
ore.
กินข้าวอ
And
ยู่
we do this because
ที่
we can
ไหนสักที่ในโลกแห่งความ
all
เป็นจริง
shares the material and they instantly get copied over to
Very
other
good.
players' inventory as soon as one of you kill them. So this way you can divide and conquer. You can do this
3
so
คน
much faster. You can get
ไม่
material so much
งั้นก็แบ่งกัน
faster. Literally
กันคนละครึ่ง
3 times
ผมจะไป
speed.
กินข้าว
When you're strong enough, you can even rotate boss around. So for example, I can kill all the boss at the bottom. I can kill this boss, this boss, this boss, while another player could be killing this boss, this boss, this boss. And then what's going to happen is that we're just going to teleport to each of them after their kill to check if they drop an echo. And you basically cycle through all the bosses at 3 times speed by having each of you kill individual boss on different area of the map. And you just check if they kill all the bosses faster, you can get material so much faster. Literally 3 times speed. When you're strong enough, you can even rotate boss around. So for example, I can kill all the boss at the bottom. I can kill this boss, this boss, this boss, while another player could be killing this boss, this boss,
ว้าว
this boss.
ระบบแบ่ง
And
งาน
then
กั
what's
น
gonna
ทำ
happen is that we're just gonna teleport to each of them after
ฆ่า
they
บอสทุ
kill
กตัว
to
แล้วก็
check if they
แล้วก็
drop
ให้
an
เพื่อนไป
echo.
วิ่งเช็คว่า
And
มัน
you
ดรอปไหม
basically cycle through all the bosses at 3 times speed by having each of you kill
ระบบ
individual
call
boss
off
on
ที่
different
เล่นด้วยกัน
area
จ
of the
ริง
map.
ๆ ไม่ใช่
And
แบ
you
บ
just check
call
if
off
they
เพื่อ
drop an echo for
ไป
you
เผาหญ้าอัดตีน
later.
เพื่อน
And this makes farming forecast echo extremely easy, extremely quick. You gotta be abusing this feature
เพื่อน
right
ยืนอยู่
now.
บน
Unless
อยู่บนทุ่งหญ้า
you have friends,
เอา
I
จุด
guess,
ไฟอัด
which
ตีน
I'm
เพื่อน
Discord.
แล้วก็ปาพืชอั
and
ด
subscribe. Now, something to be really careful of is that the regular material, like flour, are not shareable. Whoever claim it first, get it, and it disappear. So you better fight your friends for that one. You also won't be able to complete endgame content in co-op, which include hologram, Tower of Adversary, illusion realm, or some kind of event. And you also cannot fight weekly bosses in co-op. So you better be relying on your own strength. There's nobody to carry you, but if you do need a guy, then the rest of the channel is available. And if you learned something you didn't know today, such as how to farm 3 times faster by dividing and conquer, subscribe to the channel, alright? Bye bye.
เดิมเล่าทุกครั้งที่ที่เทียนบอกพูดว่า subscribe แพรรี่อยู่ไหนวะ
Animation cancelling in Wuthering Waves can be extremely complex, and it's one of the best way to take your gameplay forward. There are 3 main types of animation cancel in Wuthering Waves, including the swap cancel, the jump cancel, and the dash cancel. And I'll be going over every single one of them in this video to tell you what you need to know and how they can elevate your gameplay. So if you're looking to take your Wuthering Waves gameplay to the next step forward and do massive damage like me, this is a video for you. Let's get started.
subscribe
Almost every single
yeah.
action in Wuthering Waves can be interrupted. So whether or not you're in an attack streak does not matter. You can always be interrupting them with like a dash, with like a swap, or with like a jump. This is the main basis of animation cancelling, is to interrupt your attack. Swap cancelling is probably the most basic but also the most important one. If you ever switch characters during the middle of an attack animation, you can see that the attack still stay, and the characters actually finish up the attack. In this example, you can see I initiate a plunge attack on Yinin and then swap to Rover to complete the punch. And you can see that both of their damage actually went through. This can be extremely useful to cancel all of very long animation like Anchor charge attack or Yinin charge attack. As long as you initiate the charge attack and then switch character, it will still go through. One of the most useful example when it comes to this is to initiate a echo attack and then swap cancel out. You can see that the echo attack still go through even though it has a really long animation. Attack that a swap cancel out will maintain all of its original property. So for example, right now, my Ling Yang
กด
currently
สกิล
have
แล้วก็
a
ต้องชาร์จไว้แล้วก็
glacial
สลับ
damage
ตัวออกไปเลย
bonus. But I'm using this echo that will give me another 4% glacial damage bonus every time it hit. So what I can do is to initiate this echo and then swap cancel out. You can see that that attack still went through, and so therefore my glacial damage bonus on Ling Yang is now 26% because it gained 4% from that attack hit, even though I have already swap cancelled out of it and took control of another character. Here's a practical example in combat, where I started attack on Yinlin, switched to Encore to attack, switched back to Yinlin to finish that attack, switched back to Encore to do another attack, switched to Auto to cancel all of that attack, switched to Encore back again to do that attack, and then switch to Yinlin. If you're fast enough, you're going to be able to attack on 3 characters at once altogether, and this is going to be the greatest way to boost your DPS in the long run. Now starting...
It is the greatest way to kill your own fingers. Just speaking.
Characters such as Encore have multiple parts to their skills. If you cancel all of it, then you might not be able to complete the second part. What you can do, however, is initialize the first part of the attack, do a swap cancel attack, and then come back to Encore to finish up the second part of the attack. Here is a slowdown example that you can see I can switch back to Encore and attack again. One of the biggest reasons why swap cancelling is so important is because every single character in this game has their own considerable energy bar, and only when you're attacking an enemy, you'll be able to build them. So here I didn't attack an enemy on Encore, so therefore I have 0 energy. But if I sneak attack in by utilizing this swap cancel technique, you can see that I can build significantly more energy on my Encore, and this doesn't consume any more fuel time. Here's what it looked like on the master level, where I initialized an attack on Jian ults, swapped to Verena to do a couple of things, switch back to Jian to finish the attack, initialize another attack, switch to Yang Yang to do a couple of things, switch back to Jian to finish the attack. I'm sure you get the idea at this point. And so that's what swap cancelling is. It is a massive way to increase your DPS, and you can do this on every single little small attack. Even just a dragon attack on Jian, yes, you can keep on swapping in and out every time. Now a small thing to be really careful of is actually called backward switching. In Wuthering Waves, when you switch characters, there's a small cooldown before you can switch back. So for example, when I switch to Danji, there's a 1 second cooldown before I can switch back to Verena. For the most part, this is not a big deal. But if I'm extremely fast with my fingers, you can see that sometimes I'm blocked from switching back already. However, this is not a restriction when you switch forward. So if I switch from Verena to Rover, there's no cooldown restriction to switch to Danji. So this is like to call forward switching. So what I can do is do Rover,
คูลดาวน์แยกกัน
Verena, swap cancel,
แต่เกมชินมาแชร์กันทุกตัว
and you can see
อันนี้ก็คือเราสลับจาก
extremely
บน
quick, I was able to
บนข้าง
cast
ล่างได้
a
รัวๆถ้าเรา
jump heavy
เร็วพอ
attack to heal and switch to Danji. Extremely quick. Extremely quick. And this I like to call forward swap cancelling.
Your finger will die really quick. Just saying.
Because you can't swap backward, but you can swap forward. But regardless, swap cancelling is probably one of the most exciting techniques to elevate your gameplay. It makes the game feel so much more fast-paced, it makes it feel like all 3 characters are working together, but more importantly, it triples your damage by being able to play free character. If you thought swap cancelling was exciting, well, just wait, because I got a lot more to show you in this video, but I also got a lot more to show you on the rest of the channel, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. The next topic to cover is going to be jump cancel and dash cancel. Now, these two use a similar basis, and that is you initially attack and you cancel with a dash, or you initially attack and you cancel with a jump. Now, the difference between this and swap cancel is that this completely cancels the attack. A lot of attack in Wuthering Waves has really long and lag animation. Take Danji 3rd E for example, you can see that until the blade slam all the way down, I can't take control of my character again. But I can use a jump to turn it into a jump plunge by ending the animation early. Here's a side-by-side comparison of how much faster I was able to act and turn it into a jump plunge for some extra damage. An extremely useful scenario is to cancel all of your long animation attack to do a plunge parry. This is actually a great technique to combine with swap cancel because you can swap cancel off your plunge and your initial character will still complete the plunge damage. That's double the amount of damage. If you're quick enough, you can actually do this on all 3 of your character at the exact same time. When it comes down to jump attack, you can actually short hop your jump attack. So for example here, if I do a jump and I do a plunge, you can see my character jump relatively high. But if I do an input fast enough, you can see I actually jump lower. This is especially apparent on character with mid-air attack like Verena. So here's what happened when I jump attack. Here's what happened when I do a short hop jump attack. And you can see it come out much quicker because my jump distance is a lot smaller. This is called short hopping. On character like Verena, when you do a jump mid-air attack, you can use one of these photosynthesis stack to heal. But that takes a while, so what you want to do is jump short hop and attack. And you can see that gives you the exact same effect, but it just comes out a lot faster. And then you can combine it with the other technique where you do jump short hop, switch, punch. Or if you short hop low enough, you can actually completely avoid the plunge because the next character you switch in will be on the ground. Obviously, this is
ถ้าเรา
extremely
เก่ง
useful
พอ
if
เรา
you just want to
เรา
dump
เล่น
stack
วอริ
on
น่าแค่
character
แบบ
like
กระโดดตีธร
Verena
รมดาหนึ่ง
because
ที
every
ได้
time you do
ไม่
a
หิวเรื่
jump
อยๆจะได้
mid
ไม่
attack,
เสียฟิวไท
he
ม์
heal you. So if you want a quick way to get a bunch of healing in, doing this short hop jump cancel is going to be your way. Speaking of Verena, another problem you'll notice with Verena is that her
ถ้า
skill
ไม่
is
นับเอา
quite
บัฟ
long.
อย่าง
There's
เดียว
this
นะ
big ass animation.
ช็อตท็อป
But
อยู่
what
แล้ว
if I
เรา
can tell
เรา
you
สลับออก
you can also cancel off that one? And we're gonna use a different technique this time. The dash cancel. The dash cancel for the most part operate the same way as jump cancel, except you just use a dash to cancel out instead of a jump. The main difference this is of course it doesn't put you into the air, which can be more advantageous in some situation. When it comes down to getting stacks on Verena, all you have to do is cast your skill. It doesn't actually have to hit. That means if you do a skill into dash cancel, you can see there's no animation, but I still got a stack. And so this allows me to do things like skill dash cancel into a heavy attack immediately. This will be one of the fastest way to get the inherent passive on Verena because every time you do a heavy
แค่
attack,
ดู
the
แค่
start
ดู
of
วิธี
our
คอมโบ
group,
กับวิธี
you
ลำ
get
ก็ปวด
a
ก็ปวด
20%
นิ้ว
attack
แล้ว
buff. But what if you can cancel all of that cancel with another cancel? Ah, now you're thinking. You see, the trick of playing Verena comes down to using skill dash heavy jump normal drop. Skill, cancel that with a dash cancel, and then initialize a heavy attack, cancel that with a jump cancel into doing free normal attack, finally canceling all of that one with a swap cancel. This is by far the quickest way to burn all 4 stacks on Verena. That's because Verena
Holy
can
fuck.
only do free mid-air attack at once to burn her stacks. So you will do a heavy attack to burn the first one, and then you do jump free normal attack. Now you're thinking with cancel. Wuthering Wave is already an extremely
how to heal in Genshin versus how to heal in Wuthering Waves
fast-paced game between parrying and dodging. And now when you start adding
แต่ถ้าแบบแต่ถ้าเราอยากได้แค่ฮิวเราแค่แบบฮอปช็อตสแปมช็อตฮอปก็ได้ ไม่ต้องกดทั้งคอมโบ
all these animation canceling, you can have so much more fun and it's gonna be so much more fast-paced. So I don't know why you're still watching this video because other than subscribing, you should just go play the game right now.
Is there anything I need to know มีอะไรต้องรู้อย่างไหม
Union level is one of the most important things to level up in Wuthering Wave. High level domain is locked behind Union level. Unlocking higher level data bank is also locked behind Union level. A lot of people seem to not know about this, but there's a first time clear reward for each bosses in Wuthering Wave, and this gives you a massive chunk of Union EXP. So let me tell you how you can get Union EXP fast in this video. So what you want to do is go around and kill every single boss. Go kill this boss for his first time clear bonus, kill this boss for his first time clear bonus, kill this boss for his first time clear bonus, and stuff like that. Your daily quest will be the biggest source of your Union EXP. If you complete everything, you can get 2,000 EXP for like 2 minutes of work. Obviously, you got your milestones, extremely easy to do, give you 100 EXP each, and there's a lot of them. Very, very easy. You get a lot of Union EXP when you do exploration, when you open like a nexus, when you open a teleport point, it gives you a bunch of Union EXP. So make sure you, well, just play the game. Now, spending energy will be one of the fastest way you can get Union EXP. If you're really eager to rush your Union EXP, you can replenish your energy using the Asterite, which is a premium currency, and as you spend them, you get a bunch of Union EXP. And a lot of people ask, where should they be spending energy early to get Union level EXP? My biggest recommendation is obviously boss. You're gonna need a lot of these material to level up your characters. For example, in order for me to ascend my Verena, I need 3 of these items, which is equivalent to 3 boss runs.
สรุปก็
And
คือ
that costs 1
เปิดไลฟ์มา
energy
2 ชั่วโมง
already.
ดู
So
แค่
basically,
10
that's
ก็
your
ครบแล้ว
entire day of energy. Once you are Union
ผม
level
บอกเลยว่า
20,
10 ไว้ใจได้
you will unlock the
ยกเว้น
forgery
เรื่องเกม
domain.
เพลย์จริงๆ เพราะว่า
Once
10
you're
มันจะ
Union
มี
level
ช่วง
20, you will unlock the forgery domain, and then you will switch all your focus onto farming for these because they're used for like ascending your weapon, they're used for like upgrading your skill. So you need a lot of these, and that's why I recommend you just do boss from Union like 0 to 20 because you can prepare these ahead of time, so you don't have to come back after you Union level 20. You just go for these after you Union level 20. And again, don't make the mistake of farming for EXP material. You get a lot of these from chests. I have never did the EXP material domain, and I have still a bunch of material, so you don't need to farm for it at the very beginning of the game. I have already gotten to like Union level 20 without doing a bunch of quests. Speaking of quests, by the way, obviously quests give you a massive chunk of EXP. The lenient quests give you 2,000 EXP. Each exploration quest gives you 1,000 EXP. So do your quests. When you do a puzzle or open a chest in this game, it also gives you a bunch of Union EXP. So do every single puzzle that you see, beat every single chest. The mob challenge that you see will give you
Basically,
EXP as
Genshin
well.
Impact.
Just make sure you come out and claim it. And that's all the way you can get Union EXP. Subscribe, bye bye.
cool get shield impact cool cool มีอะไรที่ผมต้องรู้อีกไหมเชฟ
In Wuthering Wave, you're gonna be able to select and guarantee one of these 5-star for yourself. But what do they do? How are they different from each other? And most importantly, which one of these characters is the best? Well, I'm glad you asked because that's what we're gonna be breaking down in this exact video right after you subscribe, and let's get started. Starting off with the most important information is that the 5-star selectable banner will only appear after you completely deplete the Novice banner of its 50 pull. This means you can avoid duplicate very easily. If you got Encore on the Novice banner, just don't select Encore when it comes down to the Guaranteed banner. One of the biggest fan favorites seems to be Jin Xian, who is kind of like a Chi Master generating Chi every single time she attacks. As a Chi Master, she's capable of turning this Chi into a shield or heal for the entire party, meaning that she's a pretty good defensive character. In fact, her skill allows her to enter defensive stand, countering any damage that come across her way, and it's extremely useful in any pinch situation where you just need to prevent yourself from taking damage. But the best part about her is probably her ults, where she is capable of generating a massive chi hole, sucking everything in, and has incredibly good grouping capability. I think she's a pretty solid pickup. She has the largest grouping currently the game has to offer, which could be really useful for certain endgame content that require grouping, or just for your day-to-day activity. I think this character is a pretty solid pickup if you plan on using her as your main damage dealer at the beginning, and then you can just transition her into a support in the endgame. Now, I don't think she's that good of a support, but she's still a usable one. She does provide shielding as well as a grouping, which can be occasionally useful. The main problem with her is that she's a little too slow for boss fight, which is the main encounter you encounter in the endgame. And then we have Lin Yang, who has a really interesting play styles. He is going to be a super hyper carry, which means that your team damage is mostly going to come from him. You're going to be putting him on field for majority of the time. The main gimmick for Lin Yang is that he can enter this line dance form where he can literally walk in air, kind of like an air dasher if you're ever familiar with that term. Overall, this character is pretty solid. He does very good ice damage. He is a very big hyper carry main DPS, but that do mean that you have to pour all your resources into building him. It's a fine pickup if you really like him because he's really cute, which by the way, he absolutely is. Verena is going to be the character that I recommend everyone to pick up if you don't really have another choice. Mostly just because this character is probably the most meta character in the entire game. Verena is the most universal buffer and healer in the entire game. You can put her into any team and it'll be good. The thing to be really careful about Verena is that she's only good for endgame, because this character is a support. For your early and mid game, you're much better off playing any other characters that is an actual DPS, which means that this character doesn't really shine until all the way when you hit endgame. If you're a meta chaser, this character is by far the best one. But if you're a casual player, then just pick whatever you want, because this character is not going to be very useful in your day-to-day activity. Encore is a character that I don't recommend people to pick just because she's a little too hard to play. Encore requires you to animation cancel all of your extremely long animation, and she's meant to be played as a duo carry, which means you want to play another DPS alongside her. Encore also have a significantly harder time to parry compared to any other characters on this list, which makes her extra hard to play against boss fight. Encore is just not really a character I would recommend right now, especially since we don't have any other character that is compatible with her yet. It could be really good in the future, but for now, because of how hard she's to play, how much investment you need, and even then she's not really that great. This is the character that I would recommend if people stay away from unless you really like her. The final selectable 5-star is going to be Kocharo, who is a very good Electro DPS. If you like this character, he's a very good pickup just because he is currently the best Electro DPS in the entire game. Kocharo has a pretty easy to understand playstyles, but overall he does really good electro damage and he has a very good AoE range. I just think he is currently one of the coolest characters this game has to offer. Much cooler than any other male character this game has to offer. Other than Lin Yang, who is just really cute. This character actually has one of the highest skill ceiling this entire game has to offer because of his unique animation cancel mechanics. But it doesn't mean you have to do it. If you're casual, you can just do his basic combo and you still have a lot of fun. You still do really good amount of damage. This is actually a characters that I do recommend to everyone if you're looking for a solid DPS from the very beginning. This character is really good for early and mid game just because you can start pouring resource into him, and then he transitioned into a very good electro DPS, especially once you do get Yinlin, who is going to be the second limited characters in this game. If you're looking to play this game casually, then just pick whatever character you want. It honestly don't really matter. Just pick the character that you think looks the coolest. Although if you're looking to play a little more meta, a little more seriously because you really want to push endgame, then I will highly recommend you pick Verena. Otherwise, you can just pick whatever. Overall, here's what my recommendation would really look like depending on your Nova's banner pull. If you pulled it Jean Xian on the Nova's banner, then I'll recommend you picking Kocharo or Ling Yang if you're intending her on using her as a support. And if you're using her as a DPS for the early game, then of course naturally you can pick up the best support there is in the game, Verena. If you hit Verena, obviously you don't need another support anymore, so I highly recommend going for either Kocharo or Ling Yang as your main DPS. And then finally, if you got anyone else, the answer is Verena. But I think if you got Encore, I think you can also consider switching your main DPS to either Ling Yang or Kocharo, just because I'll be really honest, personally, I'm really not a big fan of getting Encore on your very first 5-star. I'll be honest, your choice is either just gonna be, you pick Verena because you're meta, or you pick the character you like the most, and that's all it is. So yeah, hope this helped, bye.
ตอนผมเล่นผมคงหวังให้ผมกดเวอรีน่าหรือลิงหยางออกแล้วก็ไปกดอีกตัวจากตัวเลือกเอาเพราะผมคงไม่อยากเล่นตัวอื่นอันนี้นับจากในตัว5 ดาวนะดูจากเทรลเลอร์แล้วผมอยากเล่นแค่ลิงหยางส่วนเวอรีน่าเป็นไฟบังคับไม่อยากเล่นอังกอร์เทนทำไกด์กี่เกมทำแค่ Wuthering Waves เพราะว่ามันเลิกเกมชินแล้วแต่เกมเทนเล่นเกมชินครั้งสุดท้ายก่อนแพท 4.0 ถ้าผมจำไม่ผิดมีช่องไทยแนะนำแมชแชทช่องไก่นะ
สวัสดีเพื่อนๆชาว Wuthering Waves ทุกคนด้วยนะครับพบกับผมนันจะเสกเคิร์มนะในวันนี้แล้วนะครับที่ตัวของเกม Wuthering Waves เนี่ยเปิดบริการให้เราได้เล่นกันแล้วเนาะซึ่งต้องบอกว่านะครับพอเราเข้าไปในเกมเรียบร้อยแล้วเนี่ยถ้าเราเช็คในส่วนของกล่องจดหมายนะครับมันจะมีไอเทมอยู่ไอเทมหนึ่งที่ตัวเกมแจกให้กับเรามาใช่ไหมครับนั่นก็คือในส่วนของกล่องเลือกอาวุธ4 ดาวนั่นเองซึ่งของรางวัลอันนี้นะครับเป็นของรางวัลที่ได้รับแจกตอนที่ว่าเพื่อนๆไปลงทะเบียนล่วงหน้าจนครบ5 ล้านคนเรียบร้อยแล้วใช่ไหมครับตัวผู้พัฒนาเกมก็เลยมีของรางวัลมอบให้กับเราด้วยซึ่งอาจจะทำที่หรือว่าที่อาวุธชิ้นแรกกันนะครับอย่างตัวของ broad blade หรือว่าดาบใหญ่นะครับก็ที่เขาแจกจะเป็นในส่วนของ Dauntless Evernight เนาะอาวุธชิ้นนี้นะครับเป็นอาวุธที่ scaling ตาม defense นะครับแล้วก็มีเปิร์กอาวุธก็คือเวลาที่เราทำการใช้งาน intro skill หรือว่าสลับตัวเข้ามาใช่ไหมครับจะมีการเพิ่ม ADK กับค่า defense ให้กับผู้สวมใส่เป็นเวลา15 วินาทีอาวุธชิ้นนี้นะครับต้องบอกว่าณปัจจุบันมีตัวละครที่เป็น scaling defense แล้วใช้งาน broad blade หรือว่าดาบใหญ่เนี่ยแค่ตัวเดียวเท่านั้นนั่นก็คือในส่วนของเตาชีนั่นเองนะครับซึ่งโดยภาพรวมซึ่งอาวุธที่เขาแจกผ่านกล่องนี้เนี่ยก็จะเป็นในส่วนของ Amity Accord เนาะอาวุธชิ้นนี้นะครับเป็นอาวุธที่ scaling ตาม defense นะครับแจกค่า defense ให้กับเราเยอะมากๆ
ใช้สกิลแล้วได้
ก็นะครับ
โบนัสอันติ
อาวุธก็
ใช่
คื
ปะ
อเวลาที่เรา
Liberation คืออันติใช่ไหม
เนาะดาเมจไม้ตายของคนที่สวมใส่อาวุธชิ้นนี้เนี่ยก็จะเพิ่มมากขึ้นเป็นเวลา15 วินั่นเองนะครับซึ่งตัวละครที่เหมาะสมจะใช้ณปัจจุบันมีแค่ตัวเดียวเลยทุกคนก็คือจะเป็นในส่วนของยุนวูนะครับซึ่งอาวุธที่เขาแจกจะชื่อว่า Dying Flame นะครับอาวุธชิ้นนี้ส่วนใหญ่แล้วจะเป็นเรื่องของการแจก ADK ให้กับคนที่สวมใส่เนาะแล้วก็เวลาที่เราทำการสลับตัวเข้ามาผ่านการใช้งาน Intro Skill เนี่ยสกิลต่อสู้ของเราจะมีดาเมจเพิ่มขึ้นเป็นเวลา15 วินาทีนะครับซึ่ง เลยว่าทีมของจี้หยานจะดีขึ้นมากๆนะครับแล้วก็อีกตัวละครหนึ่ง
ไม่
ที่
ผม
สา
จะ
มารถ
ไม่
ใช้
เล่น
งาน
จี้
ได้
หยาน
จินโซคิปเปอร์นะครับ
ไม่ใช่ว่าไม่ชอบ
ณ
นะ
ปัจจุ
แค่
บัน
ไม่
นี้
ส
มีค
เป
น
ค
ที่สามารถใช้งานได้แค่คนเดียวก็คื
ไม่
อ
ได้
ใน
เกลี
ส่
ย
ว
ด
นของ Encore นะครับแต่ว่าในอนาคตอันใกล้นี้นะครับก็จะมีตู้ Limited มาอีกตู้หนึ่งเนาะก็คือตู้ของยินหลินใช่ไหมครับก็ต้องบอกว่ายินหลินก็สามารถใช้งานได้เหมือนกันเนาะเพราะฉะนั้นสำหรับใครก็ตามนะครับที่ช่วงต้นอาวุธชิ้นนี้หลักๆแล้วก็แจกเรื่องของ ADK กับเราเนาะโดยที่ว่าเปิร์กอาวุธก็คือเวลาที่เราทำการสลับตัวเข้ามาผ่านการใช้งาน Intro Skill เนี่ยตัวละครของเราก็จะมี ADK เพิ่มขึ้น 15% เป็นเวลา 15 วินาทีนั่นเองเนาะซึ่งต้องบอกว่าอาวุธชิ้นนี้โดยภาพรวมแล้วถือว่าเป็นอาวุธที่คุ้มค่าที่สุดแล้วนะครับเพราะณปัจจุบันในเกม Wuthering Waves เนี่ยตัวละครดาบเล็กมันมีค่อนข้างเยอะจริงๆนะครับยกตัวอย่างเช่นในส่วนของตัวละค
มั
ร
นก็
แจกฟรีใช่ไหมครับ
มัน
ไม่ว่า
ก็
จะเป็นทั้งในส่วน
เกนชิน
ของ
ปะ
โร
เอะอะอะไรก็ถือดาบ
หลังซานหัวนะครับหรือว่าในส่วนของตู้กระชาตู้ Limited มีการเปิดในส่วนของแดน
ส่วนใหญ่ก็คงเลือกดาบกันปะ
ตัวอย่างแดนจินเองก็เป็นตัวละครดาบเล็กเช่นเดียวกันเพราะงั้นเนี่ยต้องบอกว่าคนที่สามารถหยิบไปใช้งานของ Commando Collection หรือว่าดาบเล็กที่สุดเนาะเพราะว่าโดยภาพรวมแล้วเนี่ยมีคนที่สามารถหยิบไปใช้งานได้เยอะมากๆแล้วก็
ดาบเล็ก
เป็นอาวุธที่ค่อนข้างดีนะครับเพียงแต่ว่าสำหรับใครก็ตามนะครับที่มีธงในใจอยู่แล้วเนาะว่ายังไงซะผมก็จะเล่นตัวละครตัวนี้อยู่แล้ว ยกตัวอย่างเช่นคุณอาจจะอยากเล่นในส่วนของอังกอร์ใช่ไหม
แล้วหลินหยางมาใช้อะไรวะหมัดก็คงเป็นหมัดแหละมันคงไม่ใช่สีเวทเพิ่มจี้ Basic Attack อันนี้ไม่น่าใช่ปะเหมือนเกมมาแจกกล่องให้กล่องหนึ่งแต่ว่าไม่น่าจะได้เลือกหมัดเพราะหมัดที่มันแจกมันไม่ดีกับลินยานอันนี้เพิ่มดาเมจสกิลลินยานมันไม่ใช่ดาเมจสกิลปะแล้วมันเป็นอาวุธแอตแทกด้วยมันไม่ใช่อาวุธคีอันนี้มาจาก BP ป่ะแชทให้ผมเดาอันนี้คือสนับ BP ป่ะกูว่าอะไรสัตว์แปลว่าก็เลือกดาบแล้วก็ใส่สนับ BP เลือกดาบอันนี้ให้โลเวอร์กับตัวที่เหลือในตีแล้วก็ใส่สนับ BP very good หมดแล้วป่ะแชทผมต้องดูอะไรอีกอะเทนมันให้เราทุกอย่างแล้วยกเว้นอีกWuthering Waves วันนี้ครับคุณพิมพ์อันนี้ก็น่าจะเป็นเทคที่เทนทำให้เราดู แต่ว่าชื่อปกก็คลิกเบรกกว่านิดหนึ่ง14 นาทีเลยอะ
In today's video, I'm going to give you guys some tips to have a head start in Wuthering Waves, start properly, avoid certain key mistakes that I'm going to be covering, on top of some bonus and advanced tips to help you progress smoothly and efficiently without falling into some common traps. While I played the game a lot in the second closed beta, a special thanks to Wuthering Waves for sponsoring this video, which is really awesome as it's to the video. Starting things off, as you enter Wuthering Waves, you may be wondering what to do and how you should be progressing. The first thing you need to know is that in general, when you can do the main story, you should focus on it. This is because you'll get a ton of enemies as you can, especially new enemies, to unlock all of the new echoes. And also, as you level your data bank, you will be wanting to go back and fight enemies that you've already cleared, echoes you've already unlocked, just to get the bosses. Focus on whatever you enjoy doing if that brings you the most enjoyment, because obviously it's a game. With that in mind, even with the gacha
เทนบอกเราหมดแล้วเมื่อเทนบอกคุณหมดแล้วแวะดูพี่หมาผมจะไม่โดนก๊อปปี้ไลท์ใช่ไหมผมดูไปแล้วอะ
We have obtained the item you requested. It seems this area requires further cleaning.
คนภาคจริงหยวนเปล่าวะ VA อะใครภาควะผมจำได้ว่าลินหยางเวอร์ชันแรกมันก็เป็นเฟอร์รี่เต็มตัวนะ อันนี้แบบขนหายไปเยอะ
What a unique design! I can barely take my eyes off of it! Huh?
Thank you for using Victoria Housekeeping. We look forward to serving you again.
อ้าวใครวะไม่ผมพูดถึงอังกฤษมันไม่บอกชื่อคนภาคอังกฤษอะเสียงอังกฤษมันคุ้นอะผมเลยแบบผมเลยเดาแต่คนภาคญี่ปุ่นผมจำได้เพราะว่าภาคหมาป่าในบิสตาเสียงบนดงเวลแต่แปลกใจตรงที่ทำไมไม่บอกชื่อคนภาคอังกฤษวันนี้น่าจะมีแค่นี้นะผมมาดูว่าจะ มีอะไรให้ผมศึกษานอกจากลองเล่นเอง พวกนี้มีการบ้านแมวมันก็ผมดูครบทุกอย่างแหละนะคนนี้ก็คนภาคในผลปะหรือว่า ใช่แหละผมจำได้เขาเป็น VTube เป็น VA ที่เป็น VTube ด้วย โอเคแชทเจอกันพรุ่งนี้ บ๊ายบาย